right. So yeah, I'm kind of just gonna let you rip on what you want to talk about because you had a couple topics that you wanted to bring up. So
Is it rolling?
yes,
Okay. So I had a question. All right. Do you have anything off the top of your head that you can think of that is a weird either like coping mechanism, management mechanism, or survival mechanism that a dog owner has done to contend and live with their dog's bad behavior? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like dangerous bad behavior. I bet some of the funniest things happen just with like dumb bad habits because I
yeah,
had one happen. I had one happen yesterday that I've never seen. So if you want
okay,
to think it
okay,
over while I tell you what I saw,
yeah. I can't think of anything super unique off the top of my
it's hard.
head. Like it's all just the
To get put
standard
on the
ones. But
spot put on the
yeah,
spot with this one is actually really hard because I had to
yeah,
sit down and think, and I was struggling to come up with examples. Aside from this new one, may actually be the best now. But like I've had people that like my dog's barking out of the window, and one day
yeah,
she started clawing it, so they literally boarded up their windows
yeah,
like with
yeah,
literal boards. Like I've had stuff like
yeah.
that happen before. So I did an in-home private lesson with someone that's associated with a dog ownership, dog training entity that I have a lot of respect for. So even though it wasn't like a really interesting case, they were struggling with their dog. So as a favor, I went to go help them out, and I'm glad that I did,
Yeah.
because the ratio to the problems with the dog to the impact that it was having on their lives is
Yeah.
so out of whack. You would think that this dog, the way that their lives were being like devastated, you
Yeah.
would think that this dog was like a legit like behavioral euthanasia case, like crazy,
Right.
like pins and
Right.
needles. But this is what I was getting at. So when they feed, because they have two dogs,
Yep.
when they feed their dogs, so breakfast and dinner, they now load up the offending dog that we can talk about. They load up the offending dog into a car and they
Oh
drive
my
in circles
God.
around the neighborhood for like 10 to
Oh.
15 minutes and they let the other dog eat. Now, the reason why they wait 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes even
Yeah.
20, is not because it takes 20 minutes for the other dog to eat.
Yeah.
They want to have that dog eat. They kind of like put him away and then they sanitize the entire room so that there may not be a scent of food
Of
anymore.
food.
So they go in with air fresheners
Wow.
and they clean the bowls and they put all the bags and stuff away and into another room to try to make it so
Wow.
like you would think someone was covering up like a crime scene or something. And then
Wow.
they bring that dog back. So they've been
Twice a day,
doing
every
that
day.
twice a day for months, months and months and months. And these are like competent adult people with real
Yeah.
jobs. Like mom's a
Yeah.
lawyer, dad has some sort of like I think high profile job. He works from home, so he's with the dogs. But they're doing this to try to avoid like bad like fights and stuff.
Fighting. Yeah.
I've
Wow.
never heard. Once we I did some rapport building.
Yeah.
Uh, I was like, guys, I'm gonna level with you here.
Yeah.
That's one of the most insane things I've ever heard. Once we established that, like, no, actually, like, we don't have to do this anymore, and like, we
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
very quickly got to the stage of like we can look back on it and laugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, guys, I've never heard of anything like that in my career.
Wow. That is,
Unbelievable.
yeah. The the levels that people will go to for their dogs is actually very impressive. Very impressive. Like like that is actually like as insane as it is. I'm like, good for you guys
Well,
for making it work, but holy shit.
they're being really good trainers
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
because
No,
they're
for real.
keeping the
Just
dogs
avoiding the
permanently
issue.
under threshold. Yeah.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't need to see it
Yep.
to fix it. I have
Man.
basic management, this isn't hard.
Yeah.
And it's just it's the same mindset, except it appears to be more ridiculous because it's not dog
Right.
trainers doing it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You like
No, it's so true.
it wouldn't blow my mind at all to
Yeah.
hear someone say that a dog trainer told them to do something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And
For
that's shocking to me because I thought that was what I thought about later on the drive home. I was like, you know what? It was like ridiculous to see that they did that like as a survival strategy or whatever, but
Yeah.
like I wouldn't be surprised
No.
if
No.
like they were like the first trainer said, he has an enlarged medulla oblongata, which, the prefrontal
Yep.
vagus nerve triggers off of the scent of food and puts them into
Yeah,
predatory defensive drive. So like you just can't do anything about that, and we just need to remove him. Like I could easily see something like that happening.
for sure.
Um,
That is very true.
so it's just crazy. It's just that
Yeah.
they're not professionals.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like them doing it, it's survival. And
Right. Right.
they know also they're not trying to convince themselves that's gonna fix anything.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That
just
is funny.
insane.
Yeah, the one that popped into my head was actually not my personal experience, but buddy was telling me about it, which I thought this was actually kind of funny because it's like very much a non-issue. So a pet Doberman, and
Good
it just
start.
scratches at the door when it wants to go out, like whatever. It's not the end of the world, but it has a slick floor issue, obviously, because Doberman. And so they have like an area rug and then linoleum, but the dog won't step on linoleum. So he's like, just scooch the area rug back 6 inches. So now
Yeah.
instead of like pointing at the door, the dog is just like
Yeah.
out there pointing at the air,
That's so
which is
yeah.
like whatever. But
It's ridiculous. That's hilarious.
it's just funny because it's like it's a Doberman with slick floor issues that is actually advantageous in that case.
Right.
And it works, but it was like it's pretty funny. But that's not like a major inconvenience for the people's lives or anything.
Yeah.
So how was that? Was that a lesson client then? That was a one-on-one?
Yeah, and it ended up actually being some of these dogs, I'm sure you have this happen too. Some of these dogs and some of these people, like they'll the packaging and the marketing of it is like, oh, I'm going to the house because the dogs bicker over food and water bowls.
Yeah.
It's like I'm falling asleep on the drive there. I'm like mowing down families. I'm like getting pulled like I'm just like falling asleep.
Ranted on your IG stories, yeah.
Right. But yeah, like I need to talk to the maniacs to stay conscious because this is already but it ended up being like a sort of like really emotional, like crazy we could I guess maybe we should get into it a little bit because it is a really really important general, I think, dog training topic. You know, we talk a lot about, or at least we're supposed to talk a lot about trying to get to the core issues that are causing problems versus trying to run around at the surface dumping water on fires and, you know, suppressing things. And I think that sometimes we can forget how simple and how deep things can actually go. And if you are going in, like it really doesn't matter what kind of like trainer that you are. You know, like you and me, we're maybe I don't know. I actually would like you to chip in if I'm wrong. We're both kind of like play cucks. You know what I mean? We're like play cucks.
Yeah.
And that's like a big TWC thing is like we're just like and I
I'd say that's relatively accurate.
but we're not like that because we think it's bad. It's because we know that it's the right thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to beat the cult accusations when I say that, but like it just is like play is actually just the best.
Yeah.
But like I go in and like very short surface level, the dog, it's a big rescue bully pit bull mutt that they've had for like a year, and slowly he started getting into fights with the other dog in the house. He's biting people on the couch. He's like doing like attention seeking biting, but it's like hard to the point where he's like breaking skin, and everyone's just kind of like, we don't know what to do, and we want to have kids one day, and you know, but we're not giving up on him, blah blah blah. But so like we would go to the dog's perception and go, okay, is he doing all of these bully games and this bullshitting because he's bored out of his mind? You know what I mean? Like, does it like, so the line of questioning that I would give is like, well, what is his daily life like? Is he like, does he have any things to do? And I'm not saying that's not important, but that actually wasn't as deep as things go.
Yeah.
Normally, for what I see anyways, that's a huge, like that is the depth. It's like right there.
Yeah.
But instead of playing, I was like, listen, let's just like go for a walk, because it's the female owner. I'm just going to say mom. Anybody that gets triggered by that, it is what it is. So mom and I are going to go out with the dog and go for a walk. because supposedly dad's better with him, whatever.
Right.
Um, and we're doing like, hey, like we're gonna use a retractable leash instead, and you can grab his prong collar or whatever. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna let him sniff, and let's find some things he likes to do. And I kind of just like stopped at one point when I told her, okay, like you can pet him, and she goes to pet him, and she's
Mm,
like flinching, and finally she does pet him, and he seemed confused, like, why are you petting me? And he like didn't know
interesting.
what to do with it, and he went to walk away. And I was like, hey, all right,
That was
I'm gonna
weird.
ask you something. And
Yeah.
if I'm being mean, like you can actually just tell me to leave. It's okay. But I really need to ask you this. She's like, okay, it's fine. It's like, do you like this dog?
Hmm.
And she's a very professional, logical,
Yep.
rational, self-aware person. She's like, no, I don't.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like, okay. Um, do you think he likes you? It's like, no. He knows I don't like him, and he knows I'm afraid of him.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay. So you don't like him. Did you ever? She was like, oh yeah. He was like my
Mm.
best friend for a while. I was like,
Oh,
okay. Do you think you can be moved on this? Which is actually the most important question.
yes.
Do
Yep.
you think you can be moved on this? And she said, I don't know, but I want to try.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Good to know.
So this is not so authority, fulfillment, training, all of these things are very like, come on, like this is important stuff. But
Mhm.
there was actually another cellar under the basement,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Like,
is
do we
that
even have the start to build authority,
anything,
rapport? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
anything, because authority, play,
Yep.
cooperation, they require personal
Yep.
interaction.
Yep.
So the actual level at the very bottom is the nature of the personal interactions.
Yep.
Then you can do the play and all these types of things. Because if you come from here and it's poisonous, everything is
Yep.
corrupted.
Yep.
So then all of a sudden, the priorities and the things that we're doing, they have to take on a little bit of a different form. All
Hmm.
right, we're not going to play today. So what we're going to do on the walk, periodically, I would have her recall him, sit him, and all that. There's more levels to this that we can get into if we want to talk about being the second or third trainer that gets called. They were legitimately, this family was legitimately traumatized with the experience that they had with a trainer
Mm.
that came in and just like strangled the dog. Um,
Jesus
so
Christ.
and this is their first law of primacy. This is their first impression of dog training.
Yes.
So they were
Yes.
totally defeated, disillusioned, horrified, mortified by the situation. So even getting her to be okay with like popping a leash and being like, "Hey, come on, buddy," like, because she saw this dog get into a fight with this guy because he just walked in and was like,
Yeah.
"He'll
Yeah.
give up when he can't breathe." That
Yeah.
was what he
It's
said,
like
right?
your first surgery was without anesthesia and just amputating your
Yeah,
leg. Like,
yeah.
like,
So
yeah.
there's like legit. She's afraid of the dog because he's bitten her, and he's run the house like a madman. And now she's afraid to do any basic training things because the last trainer she worked with is a fucking lunatic, right?
Hmm.
But even beneath that, the two of them don't like each other.
Hmm.
Okay. So what we did was on the walk, after he's sniffing, call back, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, sit on the curb right now and just like pat your leg. And she couldn't do that in a way
Yeah.
that wasn't like it was like very unnatural.
Hmm.
Like she was having to like grit her teeth and force herself to do it because she's
Yeah.
scared. She's
Yeah.
scared. But I
Yeah.
could tell that outside this dog was like, dude, like I can finally breathe, like we're moving around and things like that.
Hmm.
But by the time we finished up our like 20 or 30-minute walk, the dog started realizing what it meant when she took a knee or sat on the curb, and he was like going over to her and like laying in
Nice.
her lap. And then we go inside and we talk, and he falls asleep at her feet, which is unprecedented. Normally he's up, hyper vigilant,
Yeah.
agitating the other dog, checking windows, and just kind of being a lunatic. But the homework, quote unquote, is we're going to take the fucking 40 minutes a day that you're doing this food avoidance thing,
Hmm.
and you're just going to walk him. You alone are going to walk him,
Hmm.
right? Along the way, you're going to make him do some stuff, but you are going to have designated times where you guys just take a seat and you're just together, and you're allowed to talk to him.
Mhm.
If you want to tell them your schedule for the day, you can talk to them, whatever it is. But there has to be, because the only interactions that they're having, she's at work all day. So she comes home. It's either first thing in the morning, the dog beats the fuck out of her during the meal preparation and goes crazy.
Yep.
She goes to work, however many hours, comes home, the dog beats the fuck out of her until it's bedtime. So every interaction they have is a trademark recurring point of conflict, right?
Mhm.
And they have no reprieve. They have nowhere else that they can like meet. You know what I
Decompress
mean?
and repair, yeah.
So the walk is now going to be their means of basically finding each other again.
Yeah.
And then inside of the house, of course, it's like, dude, you have to have a leash on this fucking dog. We're
Mhm.
not loading him up in the car to do this anymore. You're putting a leash on him. He can watch his brother eat. If he has a fucking problem with it, then you have a problem with it.
Mhm.
And, that'll be, if you have issues stopping him, then we can cover that because I'm going back next week. But I guess the large idea of it before I can end my monologue is that it's like we easily could have run a play lesson. We
Mhm.
easily could have run an obedience training lesson. We easily could have run like a punishment protocol lesson where we just like knocked out all of the dumb shit around the house. And any of those three things, particularly in combination, probably also would have been effective. But
Mhm.
ultimately, it required to really get to what's going on and to actually make a start that everyone feels good about. We had to have that admission that like we are not doing well.
Mhm.
We do not enjoy each other. I do not like this dog. I want him back, but right now this is just not good. If
Mhm.
you give a client busy work and protocols and drills, even if they're effective, they're just not, the client's not going to be in it, and they're not going to create, because the emotions are wrong and the intentions are wrong, they're not going to create the best case scenario.
Yep.
So it
And
was a
as
very
soon as
interesting
one
one.
little thing goes wrong, they're not gonna problem solve through it. They're gonna throw their
Hmm.
hands up and say, "Oh, I
Yeah,
knew
done.
it," you know,
Hmm.
self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think one thing that, looking at what are the base assumptions that we come in with when we do go to a client's house, and that's one of them, is that we do kind of assume that the person likes their dog, and that's not always
Yeah.
true. And it's
Right.
okay that it's not true. Like, it's
Right.
definitely it's understandable that you're nervous about your dog tagging you. Like, that is a very
Yeah.
legitimate response from a non-professional dog person that just thought they were getting a family pet. And then going in and deconstructing, like, okay, how do we get this assumption that we need to have to be true, and then work from that. Um, but that is, I think, more common than people realize, that a lot of these small, not even what you would classify as necessarily behavior problems, but like nuisance behaviors really do start to degrade the relationships. And that cannot be overlooked. And even like trying to then fix that with play, or I mean, even telling her like, okay, do obedience drills with the dogs and play with them and whatever, like that is probably scary for her to see the dog move that quickly, and her
Yes.
not to have that trust and be like, "Oh my god, is he gonna
Yes.
bite me instead of the toy? Or is he gonna drop the toy and then punk me because I didn't give it to him fast enough?" Like, there's a lot going on, and a lot of variables for a non-professional to handle. And we always talk about, like, making the criteria, progressively more challenging for the dog, not starting at, a full finished heel. Um, and it's same for the owners, where it's like, okay, this person is struggling with being afraid of their dog biting them. If we throw them into the deep end with play, is that going to go well? Answer is probably no. So how do we start that? Okay, calm, chill, walk on a flexi, call him over, give him a pat, let him go, like kind of dummy proofing that, and then step up from there. So yeah, that's an interesting one, because I definitely, as you were presenting that story, I probably would have gone to, yeah, even like obedience straight away, right? And like having them give the dog some meaningful feedback, but that would have been the wrong track, because then it's just like compounding their PTSD from the former trainer and whatnot. So that is an
Yeah.
interesting one. Yeah.
And I think like you could get there by
Yeah.
starting doing the right things, but like they desperately need to feel better.
Yeah.
Like this is the one thing that like some of these guys like Michael Shikashio basically gets paid to be people's therapists.
Yep. Yep.
He doesn't train dogs. Like he's not a dog
No.
trainer. Like
Well, and
he's
that's what's
absolutely he
sad
has
is like
no
it's
idea what
not
he's
even
doing.
effective. It's not effective therapy.
Right. But the
This is
thing that
actually
he
a whole other
does,
topic I've thought of is the parallels between human therapy and especially child psychology and dog training. But
that's probably knowing you could probably go on that for hours. But like,
yeah.
but what he does do is that in the short term, he gets them to feel like seen.
Better. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I see that things are going horrible. I know what it's like to live with a terrible dog. I know, and like at some level, people do need to hear that
100%.
and to feel like
100%.
you aren't just like walking
Yes.
in the mountains above them, looking down, going like, "Dude, what is your problem?"
Well,
No,
and,
like
and that's a huge one. People feeling judged by professionals.
right,
Like I actually had a like a follow-up lesson from a board and train where the dog just had some issues with grooming, and it's it's a dog that definitely like give an inch she's gonna take a mile. So she had some success with a new groomer getting a little shitty again. So I like went over and just kind of polished it up a little bit.
yeah,
But the groomer and I were kind of, and super cool groomer, and we were just chatting with the owner, and the owner was kind of, you could tell she was like not beating herself up, but being like a little bit self-deprecating, where she's like, oh, like, I just never had these issues. I've had a cocker spaniels my entire life. And we are both like, dude, you have no idea how common it is for dogs to be shitheads at the groomer. Like this is not your fault. This dog definitely is a sassier dog. And like was terrorizing her when she was a puppy. Like that's why she initially got a hold of me. It was like the dog was just running her life, and it's like you're in a circumstance now where all the kids are out of the house, the dog is not getting as fulfilled, like all of these life circumstances that would have been fine with like 95% of dogs, but you happen to get the one dog that kind of exploited it a little bit.
right.
And like, yes, we can change things, we can give you accountability of it and have you take responsibility, but that doesn't mean that you fucked the dog up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's not like you intentionally are trying to get this dog to bite groomers. Like I'm not going to judge you for that. Like I'm here to help. And like even saying that to someone sometimes is like, oh, okay. And like breaking down that wall of you can tell me that your dog is doing shitty things, and I'm not gonna think you're incompetent or a bad dog parent or whatever. It's like that's why I'm here. And I've had that conversation so many times with people, and you can tell it does. I mean, it's got, like you mentioned it, with like that rapport building where it's like, okay, now we can laugh about it, and kind of make fun of each other. Like it is one of those things where bringing out the best side in the person is a huge part of the process too. Is like there is a lot of like human training in the dog training, and I think those are the best dog trainers that can work both ends of the leash, and that is definitely a skill set that takes time to develop. But as I say too, like I've definitely, my other instinct, and I've done this before for people that are just like, I am sick of my dog right now, I'm like, all right, board and train. Like I'm like, just
get him out of there.
Give me the dog, get him out of the house, because you guys hate each other, and you just need some separation. So like I've definitely had that conversation before too, where I'm like, hey, it's fine. Like, couples fight and need some space from each other. Like it's all good. We can fix this. But it definitely is. It's more of a common thing than people think, and I think people feel so bad about it because it's almost like at the level of, oh, I dislike my child right now.
Right.
It's like, yeah, like your family members, your spouse, your children all get on your nerves sometimes, and it's okay. Like it's not the end of the world. We can fix it, but there's a lot of shame associated with that. But
and I like one of the things that gets me triggered more than anything is when people are evaluating training based on what the trainer or the client is doing with their hands, and they're just completely disregarding what's going on in the dog's mind.
100%.
This also matters with the client, the mind 100%. Of the client. So dog training, at least if you're dealing with especially clients,
Mhm.
you're not only having to contend with the perception of the dog, but also the reality of the mental reality, the emotional reality of the dog owner.
Yep.
So much of what I do is done completely regardless of how I feel or what I would do.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Completely, like it makes I do not matter.
My opinion does not
So
matter. Yeah.
the
And my
worst,
my comfort level does not
right?
matter.
The worse that a dog trainer is, the more important they are in the
Mhm.
equation.
Mhm.
I consider myself to be nothing. I
Yep.
am with like
A
in. I
tool.
mean, this is going to be rich coming from me. In this specific interaction between myself, the dog owner, and the dog, I have zero ego. Truly, I am nothing. I'm in the mountains fucking like I'm completely separated. Like I am just like water. Like what are we how can I be there? Like in a way that makes sense to you, in a way that makes sense to the dog.
Mhm.
So there are some very artistic and regarded individuals that recently took issue with the fact that when I sent home a rehabilitated aggression case,
Mhm.
so look, again, the dog is home,
Yep.
sometimes states away from me, you know,
Yep.
I instruct the client that, hey, the first few times, or however long you want, that you're introducing strangers, have them wear just like light leather gloves and
Yep.
just like a baggy shirt. That's like, just do it.
Yep.
Could it be that I'm worried at some level specific to the dog that there could be a moment of regression? Yeah, maybe that is. But the vast majority of the time, that has nothing to do with the dog. I am
Mhm.
thinking about the client.
Yep.
So just because towards the end of the program, you see my dogs in the videos running up to people saying hi and doing all these things with no gear,
Yep.
that's what I am doing.
Yep.
Right? So if you're a bad person and you don't care about your client and you care about taking their money and you don't give a fuck about them and how they feel and the realistic expectations back home,
Mhm.
you will think you need to do things the exact way that I, a professional trainer, have been doing for weeks, months.
Yep.
That makes no fucking sense.
Yep.
So,
And us as
but
professionals, we have the luxury to completely curate a very specific relationship with that dog over that whatever few week period and not have, okay, I come home from work and I'm exhausted and I don't want to deal with your bullshit right now.
mhm,
And so instead of handling it the
yeah,
way that I should, I'm just like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
we have the privilege of every time we're around the dogs or interacting with the dogs being on and being 100% focused on that task. And then there's other facets of our lives where, like, our own personal
right.
dogs we have those moments with and whatever, but like that is not a realistic expectation of a, very busy couple with kids. One of them's, a lawyer, like the client you were talking about, where it's like they don't what if at some point, like let's say the dog trainer was like, hey, this is your protocol for management for the rest of your life. If there's a day that they're like, we don't have 20 or 40 minutes, like
Right.
wh- eh,
You're
what are you
done.
gonna do,
Right.
like.
Right. Right.
So it's just like that kind of stuff. I mean, that was a little off on a tangent of what you were talking about, but like
No, it's the same
that always
thing.
frustrates me when it's this idea about, yeah, it's like, because I'm able to do it, you should be able to do it, but forgetting the fact that like this is your fucking job that you're paid to do,
Right.
and this person
Right.
got this dog to
Right.
enjoy as a
It speaks
companion
it
and
speaks
to
to a
add to their life,
serious
not to be another fucking
right.
chore and project that's
Right.
continuously in the works that is just like a stressor piled onto everything
Yeah.
else in daily life. Like,
It
what?
speaks it speaks to this
Just so
almost
out of touch.
right. Yes. So it speaks
Yeah.
to like a malicious immaturity and
Yeah. Yeah.
a
A lack
disconnect
of
from
being
regular
able to take
people.
perspective. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Which,
if I tell a
again, the
client,
irony of it's always the people that are unable to take the perspective of the dog that are
yes,
also unable, like,
but they will accuse you of that though.
100%. Yeah.
They will say that you're not taking the dog's emotions into
Yeah.
account when the level of emotional interaction they have with a dog is a fucking
So
pigeon in a Skinner
disgusting.
box, and then
Yes.
they send the
Yes.
dog back home with the same emotionally disconnected protocols to people that maybe are afraid, right?
Yep.
So like the client in particular that I'm thinking of, who, by the way, I mean, he went home and introduced the dog to a friend he had never met, and they didn't end up using any of my
Mhm.
recommendations, which is a little bit of, I was
Great.
like, yeah, I mean, be comfortable, but
Great, but
like,
also
go for it, whatever. But that guy has seen his dog do horrible
yeah.
things,
Yep. Yep.
awful, awful things. He has been there having to pull that dog off of a
Yep.
stranger
Yep.
that he jumped on and dragged to the ground.
Yep.
So the thought that it would be like a knock against training to
Mhm.
have the client do things that are going to make him feel better so that he can
Mhm.
act more naturally
Yep.
is a totally just perverted. And
Yep.
we don't have to stay on this because there are much more interesting things to discuss.
Yeah.
But this particular person, I know, muzzles and drugs every single dog that comes to their business,
Yep. Yep.
every single one.
Yep.
So people that are against bite suit methods, people that are against using gear and allowing dogs to make choices, they'll knock those types of approaches that give the dogs freedom and say that you must not trust your training. Meanwhile, the dogs in their care, the owners paid twice as much as they pay me, sometimes three times as much, and
Yeah.
the dogs are slaves. They
Mhm.
are complete slaves. They never
Mhm.
have a decision point in any moment that matters. Forever.
Mhm.
When does the
Yep.
muzzle come off? It doesn't. Okay. So who is that for?
Yep.
Right? I'm doing what I'm doing to make the client feel better. You're doing what you're doing because you're afraid of your dogs.
Yep.
That's exactly what's going on.
Yep.
And that's most of these people, and it's really scary to me. Anyways,
It is. It's sad. Yeah.
um, we can get off of that because I'm trying to be a positive content creator today.
Love
I
that.
start
Love
I,
that.
st- I started off early just ripping people. I actually got a guy to block me. It
Yeah.
was really funny.
Yeah.
But anti e-collar horse free guy talks a bunch of shit. He has videos of this dog that I assumed was a client dog that's
Mhm.
actually his, and he's out on a beach with this dog on a harness on a 30-foot line, basically saying that I need to keep him scatter feeding in the sand, which is awful for the dog's teeth, by the way.
Yep.
Because if he gets too excited out here on the beach, he won't listen to me. And the dog, in every single video, the dog is looking for a moment to bolt from this guy.
Yeah.
Someone commented because I shared the guy's stuff. Oh, I'm a bully. Uh, Someone commented the dog looks at the guy like he's a total stranger, and this guy's
Yeah.
out there saying if you shock dogs, you're a fucking. So I got that guy to block me. It turns out he has a history of harassing, sexually abusing women. So I made sure to
Right.
remind him of that.
Right.
And I went ahead and got blocked on all platforms, but not before I implanted I opened the door, and now I am rent free. Um, so yeah, the war weight is on. Anyways, back to dog training. I had
Yep.
um I realized that we've talked about this off pod
Okay.
before, but I don't think I've ever gotten like hard answers from you on this before. Okay, so now it's a
Mm.
grilling segment. It's not
Okay.
actually a grilling
Excellent.
segment.
Excellent.
But I sent my Rottweiler board and train home the other day, and we can go into
Mhm.
how that went and all that. But I wanted to know, what are you doing for your board and train go homes? Like, what is the process like? And it could be
Mm.
anything from a general obedience dog to
Yeah.
like a reactivity, whatever it is.
Yeah. I definitely like, to be honest, I want to improve my go home process. Like it's definitely something I've been thinking about because like it is well, and even just I would like to be better about like getting feedback from clients just on like, okay, can I improve this product? Because I don't think I actually know where the holes are. And I think this is true of a lot of people where like the client goes home, they're super happy, give you a couple updates, and then you just like don't hear from them again. And it's like everything is probably going just fine. Like no news is good news. But
Right.
also then I'm like, oh, that is an unknown variable. Like I can't just make that assumption comfortably. So I definitely do want to just be better about like following up and just seeing what has actually stuck and not and whatever. Um but yeah, like right now my go home process is basically so like let's say basic obedience, dog, like off leash board and train, I'll essentially just demo what the dog can do. So like, okay, here's he has to stay in a sit until you release him, and here's how you use the leash and the e-collar if he breaks and whatever. And just kind of go through like really basic, just, hey, here's how to handle the dog now with what he knows. Here's how to use the e-collar. And then have them practice a little bit, critique it. And a lot of times I am kind of in that moment, like deciding what to bother picking on and what not to and what matters. And so that's what varies a little bit. Like if there's a dog where like, I don't know, he barges out the door and it's like, okay, I know that they have small kids at home that he's gonna knock over. Like I'm gonna pick on that a little bit harder, whatever. Or if it's like an older lady where he regresses a little bit with pulling on leash, I'm gonna tell him like, hey, we're gonna get on him a little bit for that. But like if it's, I don't know, a younger couple and the dog like sits and then gets up and they start petting him, I'm like, all right, well, whatever. That's fine. So like shit like that, like I'll kind of make in the moment decisions on. But what I'm looking for overall is that the dog is responding to the owners and at least sort of acknowledging that, hey, you're telling me to do something and making an effort at cooperation, and that the owner can stop them from doing something effectively. So like even something as simple as like, okay, I've got the dog on place, I throw a toy or throw a piece of food, something to get them to break. Can the owner actually make an effective correction and get the dog back sort of under control? And if I have those things, I'm like, okay, it's probably they'll be able to manage what they need to manage. So if they're not able to stop the dog when it decides, hey, I want to do something that you told me isn't on the table right now or whatever, like I'm definitely pushing on that. And I think that's similar to like what you talk about with, I'm going to find a point of disagreement and make sure that the owner is able to essentially come out on top on that disagreement. But yeah, really, it's basically like 1 2 hour lesson at go home, and then I tell them 2 to 4 weeks for like a follow-up lesson just to check in and like troubleshoot anything that is like not transferring over at home or is still an issue. But honestly, like I would say like 80% of people don't even really take me up on that. And then like theoretically I'm like, hey, I'm here for support if you need it. Like my off leash comes with 6 months of unlimited lessons and nobody ever takes me up on it. So like, okay, like must be fine. But yeah, and then the behavioral cases, I definitely have a little bit more interaction with them afterwards. Like I was talking about that grooming client where it's like, she lets me know that she's having a little bit of trouble again, and I'm like, all right, like let's just come polish it up. And like she was a little bit uncomfortable with using the e-collar, so it's like I'm gonna go see her again and kind of help her out with a little bit of off-leash stuff. And so like I definitely feel like I'm probably, and this is where I'm like, I do want to improve the processes. I probably am leaving people with some whole, because it's just like, it's not really enough to people are so overwhelmed in that first lesson anyway. It's like such an information dump. Like I do think it's important to have a sort of like a refresher of some sort, but it's just like logistically figuring that out. But anyway, so yeah, it's really, honestly, it's like nothing fancy. And I'm not particularly like proud of my go process.
Yeah, I love my favorite part about this is that the whole time you've been talking, there's just like this element of shame that you're just like not even trying to hold back. But which, by the way, I'm like not. What do you like? What would I not like about any of that?
Well, it's just, I mean, I always, and like this has been a kind of my constant struggle over my career is like I do want to give people everything, and I feel like if I have left one stone unturned, that I haven't done my job sufficiently. So it is a little bit of like perfectionism that's unrealistic at the end of the day, and like like people don't
So
need it, but
okay,
so then
couple
I feel
things.
like, oh, I'm not
First
Yeah,
thing we need to get on.
earning my pay as well as I could be, but
So first thing we need to get out of the way is that I'm going to need you to start hitting that second A in the word always a little bit clearer. So I'm going to need you
wait,
to
how do
start
I
hitting
say
that.
it?
We don't have to do this right now. I just wanted to give the idea, get that out there. So second
Wait,
thing, back to
always.
the dog training. Yeah.
What's weird about that?
So
Oh my god.
listen, all right, everyone, because I feel like I have uncovered, like I'm onto something.
Yeah.
All right, I'm onto something fucking crazy.
Okay.
It's like it's like like a science fiction movie
My accent?
where no, we're moving on. It's like a science fiction movie where I'm like it's like a time traveling, and like I'm a caveman and I stumble into a crater and there's like alien technology. So I've kind of
Yeah.
just like uncovered some crazy things. And I don't fully understand all of it, but I'm in there, like I'm in the ship and I'm like doing that and things are happening. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm being real with this. Like I know I'm being cringy, but like I actually treat the go home process, or rather, I have been treating the go home
Hmm.
process as if I can activate my dog training curiosity,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I almost attack the go home process, or I have been, like it is a behavioral case. And I'm
Yeah.
treating the client like a behavioral case. I'm dead
Yeah.
fucking serious.
Yep. Yep.
And when you start
No, actually,
applying,
something I
like,
was gonna say that, not to cut you off because I think
no,
you're
please,
getting there, but like, bleh,
no,
uh, the more honest I am with clients, the better my go homes get. Where
yeah,
it's like, because I think for me, there's this big pressure, or, and I think this is true of a lot of people. Like, you're presenting your project to the teacher, right? And you're like, oh,
right,
I've done this well, and
yep,
there's this expectation of everything going perfectly and the dog not making any mistakes and acting a certain way. um and shifting my mindset from like, no, actually the client, it's a million times better than what it was when the dog got here.
hmm,
But we're just seeing it over a few weeks, so it feels less dramatic. So the client is already super fucking impressed.
right,
And then also they're not expecting their dog to not make any mistakes ever again
right,
anymore. And if we are endorsing that expectation, we're gonna have problems. So it's like, okay, go into it thinking I'm actually looking for those mistakes as learning opportunities for the owner to now practice this new relationship with their dog.
yeah,
And being honest with them about it, like, even when people are like, oh, is like, what can I expect as the outcome of the board and train? And I'm like, your dog's not going to be perfect. Like, I'm going to train it to a certain standard, it's going to slip.
right,
And they're like, okay, cool. you know
right,
or like with behavioral cases where it's like, we might, and I think we talked about this in the last episode, you might have to still gap fill with management, and your
yeah,
dog just has a certain temperament where
yep,
this is the maintenance for him. Or like, if he gets a couple days without exercise, like, you're gonna have to handle it. And just being upfront with clients about that, instead of trying to sort of sell them the product of this like trained dog that we see in the ads of like, oh, he's always perfect. And
hmm,
um just moving away from that mindset has been super helpful with like
yeah.
not feeling so like shameful about it when things don't go perfectly. So
So
but yeah,
to
anyway.
respond
So,
to respond to
yeah.
that last part there, before I go off again,
Yeah, yeah.
what you just said about the ideal marketed, like marketing material,
Yeah,
militant, sharp
yeah.
dog, I think accidentally, again, I've stumbled upon some of the answers. If you watch the stuff that I put out with my client dogs, do
Mhm.
they ever look militant? Sometimes,
Yeah,
rarely. Like they're in
yeah,
command. Like I demonstrate that the dog
yeah.
like is in command.
Knows
Like
it,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
clearly he knows what he's supposed to do. But the picture that I'm showing is
Over. Yeah.
life. The
Mhm.
dogs are stupid as fuck. They're jumping around. They're fucking chasing birds. They're barking out of the like they're just being dogs.
Mhm.
So the aesthetic of my program is not setting this tone to where the owner's driving to the lesson going like, oh fuck, like I'm in fucking Navy SEAL boot camp.
Yep.
And I have to, and if I don't do everything really rigidly, I'm gonna get my head blown off. No, it's like the tone that I set with the stuff that I put out and the stuff that I do with the dogs is very much just like low key. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But what I'm getting at here is you can apply the same sort of like learning theory concepts to the people that you would the dogs.
Mhm.
Okay. So you could just take one little example. Okay. And if you were to flip the person to a dog,
Yep.
I think people would be kind of shocked.
Mhm.
So the first thing that happens when the client comes in for their first meetup for the go home lesson, right? Most people, I did for years, I did one go home lesson. It sounds like you do one go home lesson.
Yep. Yep.
We know that at the very beginning, there is this initial like shock wave of like,
Yes.
but the dog and the people kind of go into this daze where they're like, oh my God, it's happening and we're here. And
Mhm.
it takes a long time for people to come off of that, just like the
Yep.
dogs.
Yep.
And when the dogs do, they're
I've
often
had some
tired.
go home lessons before where I'm like, this person just needs like 5 minutes to like cry a little bit.
Right. So what I'm getting at is they don't need
Yeah.
5 minutes. They more need an hour.
Yeah. For sure,
Literally.
for sure.
So,
Yes.
and again, this is the reason why I'm sort of like presenting these types of things is I just had a dog go home, but also I had someone ask me recently, like, do you deal with dogs going home and just not listening? And it didn't occur to me. I haven't had that happen in like 3 years.
Yeah.
And you can chalk that up to, of course, I'm trying to improve as a trainer, blah, 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 all these types of things and education and experience for sure. But I'm telling you, I think that there's something going on in the way that I've been fucking with the go home process that has caused this like crazy improvement in how my dogs are doing back home. So when the client comes in for that first lesson, I think regardless, I mean, some people dependent, whatever, regardless of what you do or do not do, how long you give them to chill and recalibrate and all those types of things, this is not an ideal learning environment for
No.
the owner.
No.
It is not. And we would not drop 10 commands onto a dog in a suboptimal learning environment, but we do that to people.
Yeah.
And people, even though we have much higher cognitive capacity, that also means we have more things to worry about and more things to think about and more variables. We can think in the abstract. We can start doing
All the
thought
what ifs.
experiments in our heads, like what would happen if this and that, and like all these types of things. People are just so excited to see the dog, maybe excited to get the training and all that. They are just not in a state of clarity.
No.
So
No.
it is not optimal. I believe it is not optimal, far from optimal. I actually think destructive to try to do everything in one shot.
Yep. And I think that's what even as you're talking, I'm like, there's just I think the reason that I kind of hate go home lessons and like pet dog training and I don't hate it, but like I have discomfort around it that feels like I'm boxed into a certain structure that I don't have with sport dogs. Like I know this person's going to come back. This person's going to be able to grow over time. Like I can train my handlers with sport stuff much more the way I would train a dog, and it feels so much more natural, so much more comfortable.
So chill for a second. So check this out.
Yeah.
Check this out. So client investment is another thing.
Yeah.
So I have my clients are like A1, like S tier, like just incredible, right? I have chalked that entirely up to my screening process being much more strict, which it is. And I think that has a huge impact. However, I also think that the go home process, the way that I do it, is so much more conducive to them having a first law of primacy, first real interaction with dog training. It is so much more enjoyable and light and beginner friendly. And
it creates investment.
Right. It creates an investment where they're not thinking they're juggling all this shit while they're coming down off the high of being back with their best friend and like, oh my God, am I popping the leash wrong? They're like, man, this is so cool. I'm having a really good time. There's so much more ahead of us. I can't wait to get to it. People, so what I'm getting at is, and that gets people more excited to follow my plans. I know that it does. This just hit me the other day. I was like, man, after I did my go home lesson with my Rottweiler, I was like, that they are invested. Like they go home and that night or the next morning, they're sending me updates. And I've been having that happen, and I don't ask for it. I don't think there's anything wrong asking for it, but like I don't. I tell people send me stuff when you want. And what
they're proud and excited to show off what they're doing
and
instead of feeling like you haven't done enough. Yeah.
I think you put a sour taste in people's mouths. I know that you do, or at least you run the risk of doing it. If we're jamming this all into one lesson where we've established that you're just like emotionally tilted towards the positive mostly because you're with your dog again, but you're not ready to listen to me. Right. Yeah. So what I do is I go, okay, like I'm going to treat this like dog training, right? So you're going to have your emotional interaction with the dog, right? And like sometimes I post clips of like the first contact with the owner and stuff like that. And it's a free for all. Like they can go nuts and enjoy each other and they have a great time. And then I approach the client as if they're a dog and sort of like coming off of a high arousal state and they maybe are a little kind of foggy and all that. It's like, what would I do with that dog? I mean, normally I would go home and hang out with them. We can't do that. We have to do stuff, right? So what I would do with that dog is I would keep it light and I would keep it moving. So we go for a walk. We go for a walk. And oftentimes, depending on where we meet, this walk could start with the dog totally off leash. And the client is getting to appreciate, wow, like you're not even having to hold the leash and like getting all of this like novelty out of their head already. Like we're just getting through this. Meanwhile, I tell the client while we're walking, just let it rip. Any questions? Just everything. Start spamming questions. And it takes, because people are coming in and their heads are just like, it's just all a mess. So now they're able to take individual ideas, put them to words, voice concerns and all those types of things. And a lot of the times I don't even answer the questions. I say, very good one. This is what we're going to confront. And in my head, they don't know this. I'm now structuring our found, like what we're going to be doing based on their immediate concerns.
That's your evaluation of the client.
Yes.
Their emotional state, what's in their
head.
What
emotional state, what are your what hurts you? Right? What are you afraid of? And this is how we evaluate dogs, or how we're supposed to, right? And then I tell them as we're walking, while we're doing this, while we're shooting the shit, you can have your notes open on your phone and just start typing shit down, right? Then maybe we do that for 15, 20 minutes. Then I come over and I'll take the retractable leash and I'll just hand them the leash. And maybe now we'll move into a spot. If we were out like in a field, maybe now we're moving into like a neighborhood, or we're at a park that has a walkway and there's distractions and stuff. And I tell them, hey, you don't need to put them in command or anything. Let's just go exist around distractions, things that probably the nature of the dogs they usually take on would have caused problems. And the people get to see that the dog actually, when you let him make decisions, he makes really good ones. Also, too, if the dog does start getting agitated, I'll say, there you are seeing a manifestation of the past and the present colliding. So this is the issue between the two of you now, because this is the history he has with you, right? Now, in the past, I would have started panicking and being like, oh my God, it's regression. It's like, no, this is the dog and the people, like they're just like right back in what should be hell. And you're seeing little flickers of flames, right? But they get to feel it and get the out of their system and okay, right? Now, so say we free walk for another like 10 minutes. Now I'll tell them, call them into heel and let's start doing some stuff, right? And this is where this is the most that I do. A little bit of healing, a sit, and a release. There's no duration. There's no it's touch and go and just bang, 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 bang. And then we go take I don't know. So now we've been walking for like 30, 40 minutes. and we'll go back. I usually have like at a picnic table or something, I'll have some water for the dog or whatever, and we'll sit down.
Mm-hmm.
And they've always got more questions, and they're typing and they're asking and we're talking. And this whole time they are feeling better about this whole thing. Like I'm building the emotional state
Yes.
and the confidence and the comfort before I start going, this
Now we
is
have
your
expectation.
negative reinforcement marker. This is your positive punishment marker. This is what positive punishment means, you know, yada, yada, all the procedure and all those types of things. This
I
is
want to
the
go
type of,
get back to
yeah,
that too, if you do delineate.
yes, yes. This is proper play. This is how you introduce, like, I'm not going to do that until we've got this like base level where you feel like you've been able to voice your concerns, collect some of your ideas, enjoy being with the dog, see him out in the world being normal, and really start to set this tone. Like I create a learning environment, right? We talk
Mm-hmm.
about the learning environment all the time in TWC. The learning environment has been set to make virtually any dog owner not only feel comfortable, but really like excited to
Yep.
ask questions and go
Yep.
hands on. And people are usually asking me, they're like, dude, can we start? Can we start? And I'm like, chill, 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 chill. All right. And like, this is the point where I'll have them play. We'll do some play.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, and I'm gonna stop in a second. We'll play, maybe a little bit of healing, maybe a sit and release, maybe a little bit of like general play. You know, I'll be like, hey, like you're horrible at this. And at this point, I can tell them, I can be really like mean because it's funny because we're having such a good time.
Yep.
Play, and then I go, I'll see you guys in 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then they take the dog and they go out someplace. And like I'll break here and let you, if you've got stuff you wanted to respond with, because there's more to the process. But that is the first contact that they have with me and their dog, and it's usually like an hour to an hour and a half, and it is basically a 60% hangout session, 20% training session, 20% brainstorming session.
Yep.
Was that 100%?
Yep. Yep. 40
Okay.
plus 60. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we do. And then they go sit on it, right? So anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think what kind of pops in my head as you were talking is like it makes perfect sense. And again, like that is the natural progression given the correct logistical circumstances. Like that is what I sort of default to. And I think that's telling, right? Like you know, we talk about how dogs like want to be happy, right? Like homeostasis is a state of like wellness and wholeness and calm and etc., but like fulfillment. And I think you see that in a lot of processes. Like if you just sit back and let learning happen, what does it look like without interference of these created human framework and structures that box you into a certain thing? And it's like, okay, like that is what naturally happened. Even on like a club day, with like sports stuff, I think that's what's so interesting. And I kind of just put my finger on this, right? Is that one of the things that, and it's unfortunate with just everyone being busy today, having crazy schedules, financial concerns, etc. It gets much, much, much harder to do. But I'm always telling people like, come hang out for a day and watch dog training. And during that, what always is like weird to people and makes it a hard sell is that you're only going to be working with your dog for maybe a total of 15 to 30 minutes. If you've got a puppy, like even less than that probably, but you're going to be hanging out for 8 hours. And it's confusing to people. They're like, what, why would I? And I've always just told people it's like immersion. Like you just have to get stuck in this foreign culture and figure it out. But I think what then I see happen is this natural learning process of being able to have their session, watch other people, take a break when they need to go to the bathroom, get a drink, talk on the side, like chit chat and meet people, and then get up, invest again, go back, decompress, you know, like invest, decompress.
Yes.
Put some energy in, take a break, and that natural fluctuation of like, I'm going to ingest as much of this as possible because this is what I have available to me right now, but there is a limit. And your body is going to tell you that, and your brain is going to be like, I need to walk away for a second, take a break, and come back. But being able to like stew in that environment
Right.
every week, every other week, whatever it is, for a whole day creates such an incredible learning experience. Like when handlers are able to stick with that, it is actually pretty amazing to look back and see how far they've come. Like, we're able to build really good dog trainers in a matter of a year or two, like very competent dog trainers. And stuff that like I had to claw for, 10 years or whatever, because of bad learning environments. So anyway, that like it's just interesting to see like, okay, what happens when we allow human behavior to just humans to just behave, and like what they show us
Yep.
as the dogs, right? Like what do they show you if you just kind of plop them into an environment without external influence? And that's kind of
Right.
one of those things. So that's interesting because like in my head it's like, okay, like I always enjoy my sport dog interactions more. Uh,
Yes.
and why is that? And it's like, it's
Mhm.
because I put all these artificial constraints on my behavior when I am interacting with pet clients. And I think
Mhm.
I was thinking about this actually as I was editing the podcast, where I think it was the first one where I made a comment that like, because I came from sport dog as like my initial uh introduction to dog training, like I did not start in pet dogs. It's kind of the opposite of what most people do. Um, and I made a comment that I am not as aware or affected by like pet industry sort of norms, like people being comfortable showing dogs on social media and giving them a correction, or like using aversives on social media. Like I wasn't as affected by that. But then I was thinking about it as I was editing, and I'm like, that's such a lie. Like I'm
You're
so
a you're a
affected,
you're a
but
neoliberal tech elite living in your high fucking society.
but
And
then like when I
we're
walk
down here
down,
in the little tweaker fucking fentanyl addicted, like we're out there in the pet world in the fucking trenches. And
but
like
like that's the
but
funny thing is like I act a certain way when I'm in a certain community, but then when I
yeah,
do start to interact in my business, I
yeah,
do fall prey to these constraints. And I've told you before,
yeah.
like one of the and this has been a really common experience that for people that have gone through the program, that I've talked to, is like TWC, especially if they've had experience before, like they're already good, competent trainers. So much of it was just getting permission to do the things that they felt
Yes.
like needed to be done. And like that
Yeah.
was so huge for me. And like a
Yeah.
lot of what you're talking about with the go home process is just like, let's give ourselves permission to not do what
Yeah.
we think. And I think it's, again, I think dog training is always the dog training industry is always just a microcosm of the larger society, and society has gone towards like, you get 1 hour with your therapist, you get 10 minutes with your doctor. Like all of these caretaking services are
Right.
based on a single appointment block with no follow-up, with no ability to work outside of those constraints. Like if
Yeah.
you're having a problem and you're like, hey, I'm only halfway done describing my symptoms to you,
Yeah.
doctor, it's like, well,
Right.
sorry, here's your
And
script, or
and
schedule
of
another
course,
appointment 2 months out. And it's like, that's how we treat dog training, is like, you have this 1 hour and then, all right, buddy,
yeah.
sorry, I got to get on to my next client.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, anyway, but go
Well,
ahead.
it's of course for me, because I am fully like Jonestown indoctrinated. I'm
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
pure-blooded training without conflict advocate. Everything comes back to what we learned for me.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I'm thinking about again, like the learning environment, rapport building, clear intentions, the fucking, all of the laws and all those types of things. Maybe not like to the letter, but like
Yeah, yeah, the entire,
I started thinking about the lesson process and the go home process within that
yeah,
lens.
yeah,
And I had some moments where like something big happened and I
yeah,
was like, holy shit, I just put an idea in the client's head.
yeah,
and he doesn't know I did it.
Yep. Yep.
And that was the emotional state.
Yes.
That was his perception.
Everything in
And it was
psychology
hands-off.
and human and dog behavior is just subtle tactics of manipulation.
Inception, right? Like I just performed Inception,
Indirect
and
approach. Yep.
you feel like it was your idea, and all these types of things, right? And you know that I simultaneously, I do have guardrails up. I am going to quote unquote make you do things, but it doesn't feel like that.
No,
Like, it doesn't
you're
feel like
setting
you're
up
going to
the
get crushed.
environment such that
Right.
the
And when it
outcome is
comes
going
time,
to happen. Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
It literally is just like dogs, because I will go up to a client and take the leash from them and be like, I need to know that you know why that was so bad.
Yep.
And this is typically like during the second lesson at some point, or the third even, where I'm like, because we're going to get into how much I do. And at this point, people are clicking off. They're like, okay, 3 go home lessons. This guy's a fucking space alien. I promise I can make
Well, I want to
pitch.
get into too, like what allows you to do that, because I think there's some important factors.
Yes. Because I want to talk logistics too, because I can see you going like, oh, well, Dylan can do that. Well, okay, we're going to get to that. All right. So, and if anybody's thinking that, cope and seethe, we're going to get there and we're going to cover it. So I can get on a client, like really, like to the point where if you looked at it out of context, you'd be like, holy shit, that guy is like a maniac, right? And not the good kind of maniac, not my kind of maniac. But the way that the client takes it is so like, yes, not going to do that again. And I'm not trying, this isn't like a cringy, like I'm not trying to fucking, alpha male camp where we're out on the beach in negative 20-degree weather and I'm teaching you how to be a man getting hypothermia. It's not like that at all. It's a true, like, I know that Dylan put in all this time with the dog.
Yes.
And he loves this dog almost as much as I do, if not the same amount. And he really gives a fuck that we get this right.
Yep.
So if I get on him, they're just like, we have to lock in. You know what I mean? Yep. So, and I spent way too much time on that. So now people are going to go away from this thinking that I blow up on every client. It's very rare. It's very rare.
Yeah.
But when I
mean, again, it's a good coach. It's a good parent. It's like,
right.
There is the ability to discipline, but if you're doing everything else properly, those moments are not even a
very constructive, and it's a very small,
Yeah.
They punch, but they punch above their weight. They punch above their weight.
Yes.
Just like punishment. Just like punishment is like this small little fraction, but it is
but it makes a huge difference.
So
okay, a little bit of spice.
So we do that first lesson. And now this part of this, again, I talk about like rolling into the ditch where there's a bunch of alien technology. Part of me doing a longer go home process was just the logistical reality of people as I rose to stardom. People are coming from further and further away. And I can't be like, dude, just come do one 6-hour lesson, because I may not ever see you again. Or like if we're gonna do follow-up training, you're gonna have to drive 5 hours to get to me, whatever, right? So I have people get an Airbnb. All right. And they'll stay. They come in the first day, we do that first lesson. So now it's like, okay, it's fucking 11, right? We ran from like maybe it was like an hour and a half, something like that. Now you guys go get something to eat and you go home and just crash. And the dogs just die. Like they go to the Airbnb and they lay on the owner's lap and they just die. They are tapped. And during that time, I tell them, like, there's no obligation for you to do anything. Just like hang out. And while you're there, just more questions are going to come up, right? And people always come to the second lesson where now they are bringing the dog out. They're not having like a meeting, like a stranger interaction meeting. It's them with their dog getting out of their car at a new place, because now we're going to move to a different environment, right? And right out of the gate, I'm going to be like, I want to see you start healing. You know what I mean? And at this point, like, we haven't even introduced punishment. It's all just been reinforcement. So I'm like, I want to see you reinforce things with no rewards. This is literally just negative reinforcement and verbal affirmations, right? And we'll start doing that. And people are already, just from doing that little basic stuff at the beginning and then sitting on it, they are already like pretty competent, like good. like good, right? Because they got some reps in a really low stakes, light, emotionally open setting, which is primed for the brain, right? And now we're going to enter that real safe state of emergency.
Yep.
Where I'm going to be like, let's go. Like if we've got clear intentions, we're having a good time, but now I'm going to be like, let's see it in action. And I start challenging people. And they treat it like escape avoidance training themselves, like they're dogs. They're like, I can do that. I can do that faster than you can talk shit to me. Like, it actually becomes so fucking cool. It's hard to explain. Like, and I don't even think I could ever get this on camera. You kind of like have to be there type deal.
Yeah.
But the clients are truly at this point, they are excited, driven students. And all they needed was a good time in the first lesson and like 3 or 4 hours to think about it. And now they're like, I can't wait to get the fuck back out there. What are we doing now? Now we're going to be doing.
And also, sorry, not to jump in, but what like I'm having these moments of like my own experience of having like a really good bite work session with one of my helpers or decoys, or like a seminar that you go to and you're just like so fucking fired up. You're like, oh, I can't wait to get back there. And then like, I can't.
Right.
Like that's such a I don't know. It just is always so frustrating to me that our lives are so set up to be so suboptimal in so many ways.
Right.
I just had that
like
moment
just
where I was like
hot, dry, cold, and just like bang, bang, bang. It's like, okay.
Yeah. And now I can't see you for another month until I
So I'm going to touch on this very quickly. Going to touch on this before we get back into like the actual client training.
Yeah.
This is my stance. Okay. It is worth increasing your pricing.
Yes.
To budget in one extra lesson.
Yes.
One. So to make a whole day. So if you're a trainer doing 3 or 4 week obedience programs with just good dogs and you're teaching them nice things, tell the client this is going to be an all day affair. And if money is an issue, charge an extra couple $100 on the board and train. So your board and train goes from $3 or $4 grand to like 4,200 or whatever your pricing is, right? No one is going to fucking blink an eye. And when you tell the client that, if you have to tell the client, I know I updated my website recently to increase the pricing because the go home process is much more thorough. It's much more fun. And you're going to go home feeling like you're really on top of this. Right. You can even be like, I tell people this. I will say when I started training, and even for years, like I felt like I was sending people home in a state of confusion and almost like low level panic. Like there's no way that people are, my old clients are driving home, and I feel tremendous guilt for this. They're driving home thinking I need to try to cover my ears so nothing comes pouring out of my brain. You know what I'm saying? And that is not the proper learning environment. You know what I'm saying? That is going to demotivate the client. That is going to cause problems to come up. That is going to inevitably create recurring points of conflict with the dog, damaging their bond. And now they're a nuisance to each other. It's just a fucking systemic nightmare, right? So budget in the money so that you can take the time. Let the people have their moment with the dog in the morning at the first lesson. Touch on a few of the little basics. I recommend the healing, a sit and a release command, right? Do a little bit of playing with some of the basics about really inviting the dog into the game and being an animal with him, however you teach play, and then send them back to wherever they're staying. Even if they don't want to get an Airbnb or just doing one day, have them go like bring a dog bed and like hang out somewhere, like dead serious, or have the dog just take a nap in the back of the car. And then come back out for the second lesson. So anyways, I'm telling you, dude, this will make everything better. Everything for a couple, whatever your pricing is. And no one's going to blink at that, like paying that extra.
And especially if you're like, always the question is, right, like everyone's concern, and it's a very legitimate concern, is how do we make sure this stuff sticks? And it's like, okay, I might be $500 more expensive than the dog trainer down the road, but I'm going to spend 5 hours on your go home versus the 1 hour they're going to give you, everybody's going to be like, sweet, press the button to buy.
Listen. So right now I'm the out of touch neoliberal tech elite because I was assuming that everyone deals with clients from out of town. You normally are within a reasonable
20
driving
minutes.
distance of your client. So what is to say that you do less than one, they drive home.
Yep.
They drive home
Grab
and take a
lunch,
few
pick it
hours
up.
and I'll
Yep.
see you later.
Yep.
And now we're going to meet up at this park, right?
Yep.
What is to say? So I'm getting ahead of myself here because I want to go into lesson 2 and all that. I'm sort of like using my Rottweiler as like a reference point, and I can give more direct thoughts as to like what we did and details and all that. But what's to say you do your second lesson and then you go see them in the morning for a follow-up in home?
Yep.
Right?
Yep. 100%.
If they're within a half-hour driving distance of you and you've spent like a month training this dog and you've increased your price to a level where you feel like this is sustainable, why would you not, like, that's just do it, dude. I would kill. Like, I don't get board and train clients closer than like 3 hours out anymore.
Yeah.
And that's something I just don't have the opportunity. Dude, I would be doing drop-in follow-ups at home all the time. Anyways, I'm psychotic. You don't need to do that. But what I'm saying is, okay, so anyways, I mean, is there anything there you wanted to react to?
Yeah, I think that,
So with my Rottweiler, we did the first lesson at like an open field park, like I had outlined, where it's like we're starting off leash, just walking around. We switch over to the flexi. There's enough when we go back into sort of like closer to town, there's enough social traffic and cars and things for them to get a glimpse at like life with him out, not chasing people and dogs and stuff. They go back to their Airbnb, and then we meet back up at a store. So we meet up at Runnings, which, do you have Runnings?
No.
Runnings is goated. For any of my upstate New York hitters, Runnings is goated. Runnings is like a combination of like a Dick's Sporting Goods, Walmart. It's got like an antique store in a way. They also sell firearms. They sell a lot, like just a lot, like even like it's just it's
weird.
Goated. And they're dog friendly, right?
Wow.
So for the client here, it's not likely that we're going to run into a lot of dogs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but we are stepping up the challenge level now.
For sure.
So again, safe state of emergency. It's like, I'm not going to put you, because this dog used to be pretty like tremendously dog reactive, right? So I'm not just throwing them into the deep end, but I am starting, again, safe state of emergency. I'm going like, hey, shit matters now, right?
Yep. Close quarters.
We're having just as much fun. It actually can be more fun if I find the way to help motivate the client. But now I'm taking you to task, and now it's like, I want you to heel through the door. I want you to down him and step away. I want you to go put him into a sit, hand the leash off to dad, and you walk away and go check something, like all these types of things, right? And release him and free walk him by people and get a feel for that type of deal. And this lesson goes for, I don't know, like an hour, or maybe another hour and a half type deal. And along the way, we're having a conversation about punishment, right? Like, we've been talking about how to create behaviors with negative reinforcement and then in play with positive reinforcement. Now we're going to talk about stopping behaviors. Like, what does it mean? Like, when he hears the cue, what should he be responding with? And, you know, all these types of things. Mm-hmm. And the store has a lot of like dog food type things. So this dog is very scent driven. We find moments where he blows off a recall, and we're able to go through this. And they, of course, I say, does that make sense? Do you guys get this? They're yes.
Yep.
No, they do not.
No,
they do not get it. But because of the lesson structure, because of the go home structure, we can get that out of the way. Where they're like, no, I'm sure I get it. I'm sure. Yep. And I'm like, you don't.
But we'll test it.
But it's cool. Because I know that now you go home, right? Mm-hmm. You got to practice some more things. And again, this is all zero rewards.
Yep.
We don't need to get into actually dog training methodologies. But I actually think the more rewards you use, the worse the training is.
Yeah.
Somebody
and
clip
also,
it.
It's just another
Somebody
thing.
Clip it. Somebody please fucking clip that shit.
Yeah, and the more, especially to go home, now you're adding another variable for the client to think about. Like, Fucking stop.
wasn't even gonna go there, but imagine all this
Yeah.
shit that we're doing, and now you've got to have another hand going
Yes.
to food and
Yes.
stuff. It's
People
ridiculous.
literally, dude, like the way that people struggle to just hold the leash
Right.
and the
Right.
e-collar remote
Mm-hmm.
and press a button, like
Mm-hmm.
I, I,
Right.
it's just a nightmare.
I should
It's not
mention
happening.
too.
It's not happening.
I should
Yeah.
mention we haven't even touched the electric collar yet, which
Yeah,
may
yeah,
be
yeah.
controversial. Maybe
Yep.
controversial.
Yep.
But okay, if you do things the way that we have functioning brains, the electric collar abides by the same
Yeah,
rules
it
and
doesn't
laws
matter.
and concepts
Yep.
as the leash.
Yep.
So the client, over the course of the first day, they become like very good with the leash. So when we
Yep.
had the electric collar at the third and
Fine.
final lesson, it's just like, oh, duh.
Easy.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And I have them practice on me, blah, 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 and all that. But then,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm going to pause in a second. They go home, they go back to the Airbnb, and now they just have a night to just
Mhm.
do whatever they want.
I know. Yep.
And depending on the structure of when we're going to do the final lesson the next day, and I'm using 3 as a general rule. There are times where if it's an extreme behavioral case, we'll do 4 lessons, 5 lessons. I had a board and train with a lady. Her name is Lucy Barnard, and her dog's name is Wombat. She is attempting to be the first woman in
Yes.
history to walk the length of every continent, and they're from Australia. So I'm never going to see them again.
Yeah.
And he was dealing with dog reactivity, dog aggression issues. She needed the obedience to be like actually life or death strong because they walk over, they're like in the mountains and doing crazy jungles and shit.
Cliffs. Yeah.
I'm never going to see them again. We did a week of go home lessons. I think we clocked in at like 8 lessons. I'm not even joking.
Wow.
It's just craziness. But they go back to the Airbnb. Now they have an option. Either that night or the following morning, take him out and go somewhere and go for a walk.
Yep.
Without me.
Yep.
And it could be a half hour. People
Yep.
want to do more and they like doing more.
Mhm.
And then, and again,
Now they
I
find out
will
what they actually know and what they don't.
I will stop after this part because it's really, really crucial. When we do our, assuming we're doing 3, the final lesson the next day, they will have at least 3 questions, 4 questions about how they were handling and things that they saw when they were walking him alone. And that's fucking crucial. Anyways, yeah. So I'll stop there.
Yeah.
So that's 2 lessons on the first day.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
We've done basically everything at this point, except
Okay.
like, the electric collar. But again, that's not a thing. Electric collar is not real.
Yeah.
Or I should say electric collar training is not real. But anyways, keep going.
Right. We can either just like let you continue on today.
You want me to finish this?
Lesson 3. Well, the question I have is how much sort of jargon you throw at the client and actually do bother to teach them with operant conditioning terms, etc. Like how much does that matter? Or because like I've definitely gone towards trying to simplify things, and there's certain, like, I know that I'm not corner cutting, but I'm simplifying something where it's like, yeah, there's a ton of layers to depth here that we could go down, but I also know it's just going to overwhelm you if I give you this information because I'm not going to be able to close that loop for you. And so I just kind of like don't address it.
Yeah.
And traditionally I do talk about the difference between negative reinforcement and positive punishment, but I'll put it in different terms that are more like layman's terms, I guess.
Yeah.
And I try not to like get too technical. So yeah, I'm curious like how you actually approach that or handle that.
So I do something probably very similar to what you do. I introduce the phrases and the jargon, and I will use it sort of interchangeably with more like street language.
Yep.
So and we'll like generally
like
divide it up into
yeah.
Right. It's like, is he doing a behavior we want to build or delete?
Right.
And in this, or I'll be like, in this moment, what did you want him to think? Is a really big one. That's a really big one. Because then people will be like, well, I wanted him to know that he was supposed to be sitting. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Then you were doing the right thing.
Right.
But if the dog goes to chase the ball when he wasn't supposed to,
Mm-hmm.
and you say no,
Mm-hmm.
and he runs back to you, and that's
Mm-hmm.
it, I will say, what did you want him to think there?
Right.
And if they say, I wanted him to know to come back, I said, well, we have a cue for that. That's come.
Correct. Yeah.
If
Yep.
they say, I wanted him to know I wasn't happy and you can't do that, then you just told him to come.
Right.
And
Right.
that's typically where like a bomb goes off in the client's brain. And they're like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God. So they like
Yeah.
really start to distinguish. And a lot of it too is like, like, do you see the way he's physically like looking and reacting in
Yeah.
the difference between those two events? Because if done properly, the dog will behave in diametrically
Yes.
opposed ways. 180-degree opposite. There is no muddying
Yeah.
the water if you know what you're doing, which
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, as we know. So yes, we go into it, but they couldn't like hold the dog training conversation
Right.
with the
Okay.
proper term. I mean, I couldn't. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Can you believe I got accused of being like a scientific grifter like a couple weeks ago? It's like, dude, are you fucking serious?
Funny.
People, like trainers ask me questions, and I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So someone asked me a question the other day on one of my Instagram things, and it's like, is it possible that you can contingently punish defensive drive? I'm like, I don't know what the fuck any of that means.
Yeah, I mean, they
And then
probably didn't either, to be fair, but
And then people laugh, and it's actually kind of very quick side tangent. I think it's
Yeah.
good for trainers to see
Yeah.
that there's someone operating in this level that is
Yeah.
just not at all interested in
Yeah.
the dick measuring
Yeah.
conversation. Like, and by the way, I'm not anti-science. It
Yeah,
would be
no,
better.
but there's a huge difference between using language to clarify and using language as a condescension,
Like as an
or,
authoritative thing. Like
yeah.
the new
word?
thing. Did you find the word?
No, I didn't. Sorry,
Should we look for it? No, we can look for it.
No, it's
No.
no, it's like when somebody is treating you like a child. Like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Oh, well, no, you had it, like condescending or
no, but there's a different word,
infantilizing.
No, there's a different
word. No. But I get what you're saying. So this
it starts with the P. I'm pretty sure. Now I'm gonna be stuck on this. Now you threw my.
No, you have me interested in this. I'm invested in it now. But
okay, just keep talking, and I'm gonna.
I'll comment it if we ever figure it out when this gets posted. But this is a sidebar thing. I want to get back to the go home.
Yeah.
I've said this before. Dog trainers are so bad and so lost when it comes to patronizing. Big ups. Dog trainers are so bad and so lost.
Between using language to patronize and using language to explain. Anyway,
right.
Okay, carry on.
Dog trainers are so bad and so lost, and they're so disinterested in trying to get better at the craft that they have constructed alternate criteria by which to gauge who's good and who's bad. One of the things is who knows the most terminology. Another one is who has the most influence.
But can you say it?
Right. No, literally, seriously. Like,
no, I know.
And it's insane. But if you think about it, it's because we're just playing different games.
100%.
Like you are so lost, and you know that you practically can't do anything with the dogs that you have to come up with these. Well, I got this certificate. It's like, but you're bad though. So like that's my thing, is that I'm not anti-science. I'm not anti-education. All these things are fantastic. You virtually never hear me talk about my education or my certification unless directly asked. Matter. Because I care about getting better with the fucking dogs. That's the only thing I care about. Yes, being educated will help you get there, but if you just stop there, and if you are like one of these seminar people, certification people, and you know all of the jargon and all of that, but you're bad at training dogs, that's humiliating existence.
You have a different goal than we do at that point.
Yes. I don't even want to do this right now. I don't know why we're doing this. It's my fault. I want to get back.
Okay, but one more thing that is like super fucking frustrating to me is this idea of like what is actually a valid test. So like there's validity, and then there's Oh my god. Now I just forgot the word again. Anyway, I'm just gonna fucking cut this part because I had a whole rant in
Mhm.
my head and now I just lost it because I got stuck on this fucking word again. But
Yeah.
basically it's like, does the test measure what we think it measures? And then also can you replicate it? And that's what makes
Yes.
something like scientifically valid, right? Or like acceptable
Yes.
as us seeing as
Yes.
fact, right? So if you say, okay, we've measured your levels of cholesterol in your blood, and we can repeat that with that same test, but the instrument is, or okay, a ruler is a way easier example. The ruler we say is a foot long, and we can repeat that and say, okay, like we're measuring this thing and it comes out as the same result. But then come to find out, like, it wasn't actually a foot, it was 18 inches or whatever. That's
Mhm.
not then a valid measurement, even though you
Right.
could repeat it. So you need, well, I just noticed
Yeah, you've
that
been. I
you
thought you were
pulled
I
it.
thought you were no selling this. I was like, wow, she's just gonna fucking. No, I get it.
Anyway,
No, I
but
get it.
yeah,
I
so
get it.
like people are using a measuring stick that is just not testing what they
It's
think it's
it's not.
testing, but
Yes.
they're
Yes.
selling it
Yes.
as like this 18-inch ruler is
Right.
12 inches. And that's, we're stating that as scientific valid fact. And it's like, but it's not like, yeah, you can repeat that as long as the measurements is within this sphere of influence that you have. But
Right.
as soon as we go outside of it, everything falls apart. Like it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. And it's just, it's such a, it's so easy to pull the wool over people's eyes with things like that because like as long as you just look over here and not over there, you can't see it. But then
Right.
once it's there,
Right.
you can't see
And
it. But it's just like,
I want to
ah,
wrap this up
yeah,
with a bow.
yes,
Okay. Being extremely clear.
yes,
I am not one of these science doesn't belong in dog training lunatics.
correct,
That is
correct.
patently absurd. That
Yes,
is
yes,
fucking psychosis, in
yes,
my opinion.
yes.
What I am taking issue with
Hmm.
is this sort of like new era LARPing of I'm a
Yes,
scholar trainer
exactly what it
guy.
is. Yep,
But what
yep.
you
Because
actually
it's not
are,
actually valid.
right?
Yes.
What you are is a pseudo scholar retard that measures their own technique and skill and competency
Yep,
by arguing with people on the internet,
yep,
right?
yep.
That
And
means
the
you are
even deeper
bad.
irony, yes, the even deeper irony is that if you take anybody outside of like if you ask a neuroscientist or somebody who is outside of the influence of societal norms of punishment and or pain and or discomfort and or aversives being intrinsically immoral, if you strip that away, any scientist would acknowledge very, very
Right.
quickly that these
Right.
are real things, that like learning is impossible
Yeah.
without some level of need to change. And where
Right.
does the need to change come from? Some level of discomfort with the current situation. Like that,
Right.
that is irrefutable. So like that's the frustrating part is like
They're
it's
using the science to pervert the science. Like
yeah,
basically what they're
yeah,
doing. Right.
yeah. And yeah, it's very frustrating because it's like
Yeah.
people just glom on to the buzzword and it's like it's not even yeah, I don't know. It's just such a different planet that they're
There
on.
there are
It's
guys
difficult to
there are
argue with.
guys that there are guys that will post like multi-paragraph manifestos on Facebook
Uh-huh.
about reactivity rehab and like what's going on neurologically in the dog's
And
brain
it's
and the
wrong.
chemical and so I wouldn't know, Kimberly.
Yeah, well,
I
okay.
will,
Here's the thing.
but
It's not even necessarily wrong, probably, but it's irrelevant
it's
because they're
irrelevant.
only it's the
Right,
same
right, right, right.
that people have started talking about dopamine as this reward chemical,
Yes,
and it's like, yeah,
yes.
that's true, but
Really
like
simplified.
there's
Yes.
so much more. Like that
Right,
is the kindergarten level of neuroscience that you have an understanding of, which like, hey,
right,
good for you, gold star, but
right.
like let's move on. Like that's like
So
saying the sky is blue
right.
and saying that we need to make decisions based off of it, but not
Yeah.
understanding like saying like, oh, the way that we change the color of the sky is to just like throw a bunch of paint at it. And it's like,
Right,
no,
right.
like
But
you could change
this
the
is
color of the sky, but there's a lot more going on there.
the perfect example of this is actually not from the force free side. May
Yeah.
they all die horrible deaths, hate all of them on a personal level, truly evil, wicked people. It actually comes from what I see now is this scholar academic balance trainer guy who is actually a heavy management suppression trainer,
Yeah.
but is sort of dressing it up in this like, well, play is bad for reactive dogs because
Mhm.
play
You're
and
spiking
reactivity,
overarousal.
they activate the same similar adjacent centers of the
Yep.
brain,
Yep.
completely disconnected from context and the dog's
Yep.
ability to understand
Yep.
context.
Because like it's looking at such a
So
2D
fucking
image of
cringy.
something that is
Yes.
so
Yes.
3D that we
It
can't
is
even
so
comprehend
stupid.
it.
Right. It is so fucking stupid. It is actually like the meme of like um people drown from water 100% of the time, therefore
Yep.
water's bad. Like that, it is
Yep.
actually, I know
It
that's usually an
is that logic.
oversimplified
Yes.
meme, but it
Yes. But
actually
that is the
is.
premise. That is the premise
Right.
that they're
Right.
operating under. And it's
And
just
they are hoping, these people are hoping that you don't ask for dogs.
correct.
That is
Correct.
the problem. They are hoping you do not ask for dogs because
Yep.
I like what I am saying is everybody listening? Anyone that believes this stuff, I'm better, right? You would destroy me in a live debate. Oh my God, Dylan doesn't even know what the
But
seventh
again,
step of
what's
the
so
predatory sequence is.
annoying to me
But
is like
I can just send you links to dogs,
yeah. And
and
also
it's over
if
with.
you know
That's
what
the
you're
end of it.
listening to, anytime that I hear okay, so like the predatory sequence, for example, right? Like anytime you hear someone try to explain that thinks that they know what they're talking about, but they actually don't. Like anybody who actually knows it can tell. And it like they just don't realize that they sound like a
They're
fucking
banking on me not knowing. So this is what they're
correct.
banking on. They're
Correct.
banking on
Correct.
being right about this, me not knowing, which is true.
Yep.
And
Yep.
this is actually motivating me to want to go out and to learn these types of things so that I actually can refute it
Well,
on
it's
that
not
level
that
too.
fucking hard. Because again,
Right.
people act like it's this special secret that they're holding. And
Right.
it's like, dude, I could send you a
Right.
fucking Wikipedia page
Right.
or
Right.
make a
Right.
5-minute video and you'd understand it.
You're
Because
turning
you've seen it with
into
your eyeballs.
Kimberli.
I'm just
You're turning into Kimberli right now.
yes, yes.
So
I'm just
but
putting
okay.
a label to something that you already know. These people don't even know what they're looking at.
Right.
They're trying to
Right.
describe this
Right.
alternative universe that doesn't actually exist.
Right.
I don't, anyway.
So ultimately, I have a much better talent set for dealing with the dog's brain functions. I just
Correct.
couldn't label any of it.
Correct. And here's the thing. Current science cannot label the mammal brain right now. Like we have such a limited understanding that if you stunt yourself to the current neuroscience, there isn't enough to actually train a dog with like just science. Do you know what I mean? Like we don't understand the complexity of even a dog brain, much less a human brain, even half as close to we understand chemistry or chemical reactions. Like there's certain things that we can isolate and look at and go like, okay, these are the facts. But I think I said it before, like this is always my analogy is you put a cancer cell in a petri dish, it acts very, very, very differently than when you put it in real live tissue where now it has hormones affecting it, a blood supply, like all of these things affecting it. You cannot draw a one-to-one conclusion. And again, any scientist who actually is worth their salt acknowledges, and in fact, like one of the things you're trained to do is in the discussion of that paper and of your results is to acknowledge the limitations of your experimental design and say these are the limits of our conclusions. Like we cannot say that this is how something is going to act in the real world because of the limitations of the lab environment. And you would never you'll never catch those people walking outside and making life-altering decisions based on a basic result, a result of basic research that hasn't even been brought into anything in the applied realm. Like it doesn't exist. Anyway.
Last thing for you fucking loser, okay? This is what you look like when you try, oh, I'm going to make Dylan look dumb. This is what you look like. Imagine a boxing match where one guy is just getting fucking pounded on. Teeth are flying out of his head, but he's covering up and he's going, I bet you couldn't identify the difference between the fast twitch and the slow twitch muscle fibers that are causing your shoulder to throw the punch.
Yep.
Like, no
Yep.
one fucking cares.
And again,
dude.
what's so funny about that
No
is like
one
now we've
cares.
discovered that there's a third type of like or whatever, right? Like there's
Right,
always
right.
something deeper where if
Right.
you stake, like this is what's wild to me. I think this is what I've been trying to say. Anybody who takes the current scientific body of knowledge as absolute fact doesn't understand science.
Right.
Like, the whole
Right.
point is to
Right.
study the external environment and try to understand it. It doesn't go science to real world. It goes real world to science. Like that is how the process works, is that we are trying to explain the external environment. We're not trying to come up with this framework that makes things in the outside environment true. We're trying to build a framework that allows us to understand what is going on in the outside world and be able to apply that knowledge for betterment. But like it is not this statement of absolute fact that is irrefutable. Like that the whole point of the scientific process is that everything is refutable. Like that's the whole point of it.
So, okay,
Anyway,
everyone say
I'm
it with
done.
me. Last thing on this, okay? One of my favorite, for anybody that's getting the picture that I'm like anti-science, I swear to you, I'm not. I really, really am not. One of my favorite types of messages to get is say that I post a video or it's on a Patreon video or something like that, right? Where I'm talking about something sort of more abstract and it's clear I'm like, unga bunga, I'm just retarded and I don't know how to explain something, but I'm kind of just giving the idea in a practical dog training sense. Occasionally I'll get a message from someone that's like, I have a degree in psychology and behavioral science, something like that. And it's very interesting. You're touching on this concept and they'll give the definition. I'm like, that is fascinating. That's amazing. And I wish I had.
But again, they're just putting words onto something that you already know.
But it can be so useful to be able to do that and to be able to draw from this well of knowledge
because then
and
we can
understanding.
communicate with each other.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
But
We have
again,
a common
like, that's
language and we can, So
like it is one of my pet
that.
peeves that in breeding dogs, we do not have an actual definition of. We cannot quantify prey drive. We cannot quantify so many of these different things, and it makes breeding. Like when I say I'm looking for a dog that is hard, has full grips, is resilient. Like what the fuck does that mean?
Well, it's like the name of the podcast. The name of
the
the podcast, Aggressive. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It has fucking
exactly.
30,000 interpretations. So no, it would be.
So it makes
be
communication
very cool.
extremely difficult. So it is a useful tool to clean up our communication. But again, like it is a tool. It is not a moral.
You still have to go train the dogs. You still have to train the dogs. And if you cannot show me dogs, you don't get to talk.
Yes.
End of story. And
yes,
actually, I'm not going to say last thing. Final thing. There's no like one person in particular. I haven't been recently triggered by one of these guys. It's just that I see this shit on my feed pop up, and it's never people I'm friends with. It just gets recommended, and like someone just like making these huge, again, writing these huge posts about reactivity or aggression or things like that, and they're dropping the brain function jargon, and then I go on, it's like, dude, you're not a doctor, you didn't go to school for this, and you have no fucking dogs on your page. I don't give a fuck what you think about this. You're clearly grifting. You are clearly fucking grifting.
Video on the Vegas.
Right. You are clearly fucking grifting. I would rather be me being mentally retarded and being really good at this. Like the actual fucking thing. Anyways, okay. So go home process, okay? We should probably timestamp this. No joke, probably should timestamp this. So okay. The third lesson for Lincoln. Now we're going they walked him. They took him for a walk, I think, the night after that second lesson. So then in the morning, they just rested. And we met up in the afternoon because I had a game of Dungeons and Dragons I had to play in the morning. I'm playing
actually?
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny.
Me and my boys are getting back into it. Dwarf Ranger. My name's Bug, the Dwarf Ranger, and I'm a pirate.
Hilarious. You just have such a dynamic personality. That's so funny. I don't know why I wouldn't have expected you to be a Dungeons and Dragons nerd, but yeah.
I'm usually
I expect me to be a Dungeons and Dragons nerd, but I'm not.
Because of RuneScape, I'm actually my buddy's running a smaller game so that I can have development time for my own campaign that I'm making behind the scenes. So I'm going to be the dungeon master. Because I usually am the dungeon master. I make the game, the scenarios. It's all, people call it homebrewed. Like I come up with my own ideas, and the premise is going to be that the players are real people in real life, that for whatever reason they they go to opening day at this toy store, and it turns out that the place is like demonic and they get trapped in it, and like they're gonna be, it's gonna be, the toys come
Toy
to
Story from
life, and
hell.
yeah, and like there are gonna be giant like Play-Doh ooze monsters, and like there's gonna
Oh
be,
my
it's gonna be
god.
crazy, and it's gonna be like a grindhouse, like bodies are gonna be getting dropped, people are gonna be cut in half. Like super soakers are gonna shoot like pressure washers, they're gonna like peel
Oh my
skin
god.
off, it's gonna be crazy. Anyways, so I was playing Dungeons and
Was it
Dragons
great?
that morning.
Yeah.
Yes. So now we've got things we still haven't done. Like right now we're very weak on play. Like we only did play the first morning, and it was kind of light and less formal.
Yeah.
But I also know, because I'm listening to the client's questions, and kind of like during the program I'm talking to them, and I had them send some videos before the program. They were already pretty competent at play. So I changed the dial. I know we don't need as much time investment on play with you guys. We're still going to do it, but
Yep.
what is actually hurting you? Like, why are we here? You are horrified to have him out around dogs.
Yep.
Period. That is actually why we are here. It would be very, very easy for me to do the things that would make me feel good, that would make me look good. I could go out and just record you guys playing with your dog for an hour, right? It would be a waste of fucking time.
Yep.
I am telling you, whoever is listening to this, I go out of my way to do the more challenging things 10 out of 10 times.
That's your job.
I have an allergic reaction to like, oh, we can do this instead because it'll be really fun. I don't fucking do that. And again, you see my dogs though, right?
Well, you won't do that unless that is to the benefit of the owner or the dog at that moment.
But I guess what I'm saying is that in my decision making process, where I'm developing what we're doing,
for you.
It is never about something that's going to make me feel good or make me look good. 0% of the time. Like what I said earlier about the ego vanishing. I am just a vessel. I am here to help. I don't care. I don't care about myself. So I know that we need to spend a shitload of time right now with you guys just point blank walking through hell, right? Or what you perceive to be hell. And this sort of starts to cross over into, if you're dealing with behavioral case dogs, and it is where the stakes are much higher, which means it necessitates doing a longer go home process, not just for the dog, but for the people. Dude, these people are hurting. Like earlier when I talked about having the client back home with a rehab aggression case, just like having someone wear baggy pants or glove, like just regular gloves, that I am trying to make them feel better. Right? Like, of course, there are considerations with the dog, blah, 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 blah. But like the dog in particular that I'm thinking of, Ollie, he does not need safety equipment to be around anymore. But I'm doing that for the owner, dude. I'm doing that for the guy that's like,
they need to have success.
Like, I am your friend, dude. I'm trying to help you, right? I'm thinking about you. You know what I'm saying? He needs my help, and it's not just physical; it's emotional, right? Like I'm not trying to be gay right now, but like that, it's a very deeply emotional process, right?
It is.
So I know going into the park, and I posted some clips of the final go home lesson where I made a joke where like the first time that mom passes some dogs, and I say, hey, you can release them. She releases them. And I said, I need to start putting a blood pressure monitor on people. And she turned around and started laughing. She was like, I'm really scared. It's like, I know, it's okay. Like, it is okay. I promise. Like, it's going to be fine. And because of the way that we handled the first two lessons, they are allowed to feel scared and confused and worried and all these types of things in a very safe place. You know what I'm saying? They know I'm there, and I'm not here to fuck with you. I'm like, we are not leaving until we win. That is the way it's going to be. So we run that lesson at a busy state park. It turns out that we have history at this park with this dog, because like 6 months ago, before we could get into the board and train, I had them come by for a weekend so I could meet them and see them and stuff.
Oh, it was that state park.
Me and the dog like got into it because he tried to go after a girl that was running by, a small girl, and he went off, and I got on him and he went up the leash at me, right? Because I needed to know what he was capable of, and the owner's crying and like, it was funny. But now it's funny to look back and reference it, because we go back to the literal spot and like I take a picture of it. It's just like funny, right? It's like a victory
Yeah.
lap.
Yep.
But I am not. I am so confident in what the dog and I did and the effort that the dog put in, but I can feel their fear, the
Yep.
owner, and the anxiety. And I need to keep that from just becoming like a daydreaming, like, oh, I did it again, back at it again, guys. Dated it. No, no, no. I'm like, the job starts right now.
Hmm.
And it's right now the battleground exists in the emotional state of the client.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking. Of course, the handling and the
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like
But again,
they
if you've done your job, the dog will be resilient to that
right.
stuff so that you
Yes.
can focus on
Right.
making the
Right.
client
Right.
comfortable.
Right. 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 So this is like I'm giving away way too much of my personality, so people are not. Well, I mean, I guess the people that I want to hate me aren't going to watch this, but like
Yeah. Yeah.
I I am when it comes to this, the empathy is dialed to like 2000.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
so for the people, right? Like for the
Yep.
people. The way that I get with the dogs when they come to me and they're in a really bad spot, and I've talked about this on different shows and stuff.
Mhm.
I feel this like really like I feel like I can feel for them, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
feel that way for the client. Like
Yep.
really truly do. And I don't have to
Yep.
force it. It's just the way
Yep.
that I like this is the job, this is our craft,
Yep.
this is our
Yep.
duty, this is what we are sworn to do. And
Mhm.
just another reason on the pile of why Dylan gets so fucking mad and
Yep.
why I have
Yep.
zero tolerance for people with zero creativity, bad
Mhm.
intentions, and zero
Mhm.
motivation and just scammer. Like I want to crush you for
Yeah.
them,
And I
right?
think,
For the dogs and for the people, you deserve to be crushed.
yep.
Anyways,
And I think, again, we've been taught, and this is like another of my gripes with society, right? Is this idea of like professionalism, and what that means
right,
is professionalism is supposed to be unemotional. And it's
right,
like, that's bullshit. I can be wildly emotional, but it is very under control and very contained. And I can still
right.
keep boundaries on the fact that, like, you're not going to show up at my house unannounced because you need a hug from me for something completely unrelated to dog. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
I can be deeply empathetic to the fact that you are hurting
yeah,
because of something that has happened between you and your dog, which is a relationship that is supposed to bring you great comfort and joy and fulfillment. And like, I can be deeply empathetic to that and not be unprofessional. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's this weird, confounding,
yeah.
like some of the biggest arguments I've gotten into with people is over this topic where they're like, "You're being so unprofessional," and I'm like, "Because I'm showing emotion? Like, how
Right,
the fuck is that unprofessional?" It's
right.
this weird sterilized version of what you
Sterilized.
think
Yeah.
humanity and dogs and life is supposed to be, and it just doesn't fucking make sense. Like,
And the thing is that everyone knows that it's fake too, which is kind
correct,
of like
correct.
everyone's sort of in on
They
the lie.
that because you stopped playing their game by their
Right,
rules. And now
right,
they have to deal with an emotional
right.
reality that they are not prepared to deal with. And it's like,
Yeah,
fucking
right.
get
This
your
is
shit together, dude.
this
Like, you are
is
just,
we
yeah.
we have different ways of sort of like bucking that, right?
Yep. Yep.
Mine involves like hate speech, right? Like one of my favorite
Yes.
things to do is to use hate speech. But that is also the bubble I'm bursting. It's just the way that I'm
100%.
doing it. But
100%. Yeah.
but I like last thing on this. Sometimes
I
some of
think
these
this is
people,
super important. Like, again, I this is again one of the reasons I wanted to start the podcast is to dig some of these things out, because I know this is stuff you think about. Um, like you posted one of your Ask Me Anythings was can you go in depth about something? And you were like, I can't go
yeah,
in depth about anything. And I'm like, no,
right,
dude, like that's a lie. But like this is the kind of stuff where people need permission
right,
to feel something. Like,
right.
it is
But
okay to
like
feel something about the
this is
dogs and
very
the clients and your
right.
craft. Like, be fucking passionate.
And this is very personal to me and the way that I operate. And
Yep.
I'm not saying everyone needs to do this,
Yep.
but when I single someone out, like I did this morning and it was amazing, and I smoke them, right? And I
Yep.
am sort of like the ghost of accountability coming back from the grave. I know that you've all grown fat and lazy on this, just like nobody asking questions, no one looking at what you're doing, but I'm here and I'm not going away until you show me dogs. Um, one of the responses that I'll get from some of these people after I've thoroughly routed them and they just have no responses, I've never done anything to you, right?
Right.
Which is actually a very revealing part of their personality. They are thinking purely of, I am me, you are you, and we are all just guarding our own very
Our
personal
environment.
interests.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
So actually, correct. You've never done anything to me before,
Yep.
but I don't
But you've
need
done
you
a
to do
lot.
anything. You've done a
Yes.
lot to
the
everyone
culture.
else,
Yep.
and you need to be obliterated.
Somebody has
I am
watched
think-
your video of you trying to get your dog to not be a dog on the beach and felt
Right.
guilty for letting their dog be a dog,
Letting
and
their
now the
dog-
dog is living a worse life.
And on behalf of them, I will fucking destroy you. I will not sleep until you feel some ounce of regret, until some amount of people look and go, this guy's a fucking joke, right?
Yep.
I don't need you to personally insult me. I mean, it is personally insulting to me because I care about the dogs and I care about the people, but that's it too. This is not some like planned warfare where like you stepped on my turf. So now, no, it's, I see what you're doing.
Yes.
And get fucked. Anyways.
Yeah. No, again, it's a very limited and stunted mindset.
It's childish.
Always,
it's
when
like
you start to look at these people,
you took my toy.
Yes.
I'm taking your toy. It's like, well, what if I just saw you bullying another kid that can't fight back? And I'm really not trying to sound like I'm fucking Frank Castle the Punisher right now.
But it is like righteous
industry,
indignation is not something that makes sense to them.
The industry requires some sort of cleansing. And this is just kind of recircling back to episode 1. It requires some sort of cleansing. I'm not saying I'm the best suited to do it, but no one else is doing it. No one cares. No one cares. I am telling you, Tom Davis doesn't care. He does not care. I'm just telling you that. Okay. He will not say anything. Robert Cabral does not care. These people do not care.
And I think, like, for me, I think I like didn't say this super well on the first podcast when we were talking about it, but like for me, that will never be my strategy. Like that is just not congruent to the rest of my personality.
Right.
But I support your ability.
Careful.
What?
You're about to sane wash a
no, but like. No, I think like okay. So what I was gonna say,
I was making fun of you because you're setting yourself up in the mind of schizophrenics to be guilty by association. If I can help you here.
More so what I was getting at, because I know what you think I'm doing, but I'm saying like also don't feel guilty if you can't be Dylan, right? Like don't feel guilty if you are not comfortable going that strategy, like. In political movements, right? There are the people that are actually organizing the protests and on the front lines, and that is what they feel comfortable and like called to do, not to get too cheesy, but like there are other people that are the ones that are like making the signs, right? And like organizing the logistics and making sure everyone has food and whatever, right? Like there are different roles for people. And I think something I wanted to say on the first podcast was like, there are also ways of like waging this war. I mean, I made a joke a little bit of the title of the episode of like D-Day Operation, but like we are in a point of potentially having the opportunity to shift culture. I mean, we always are, but like just speak out how you feel comfortable.
But
and
the
do
bar
your
is so
work.
low.
Like there are people showing more dogs and just putting out their work, and that's enough. Like that's
the bar is so low that merely approaching dog training with effort and curiosity is breaking trends.
Changing something.
Breaking trends.
No, that's a good way to.
It sounds insane, but
it's
just genuinely trying will make you a force for good. That's actually how bad shit is. For real. Okay. So I'm putting the clients in the positions where they've had nightmares and lost sleep, right? But they've been armed with their experience and the coaching from the first 2 sessions. They had the break in between the 2 the first day they had the night and then the morning of going into the second day and all of that to sit on things. They've always got more questions when we come in, and now we're just out with a dog in the most, like, this is overkill in terms of what they need to be able to handle, right? I
Mhm.
always overkill it by like a 2 times factor if I can,
Yeah.
to where like just walking down your street while there's a few dogs out will be like a sleepwalk for you, right?
Mhm.
And of course there's mistakes and blah blah blah, but like now, just by taking some more time setting up this environment and this process and letting them know coming into it that this is your time, we're taking your time for you to feel your level of comfort, you are
Mhm.
allowed to feel the way that you feel, all
Yep.
of these things.
Yep.
Now, by the end of the third lesson, I am not kidding, I am effectively dealing with dog trainers.
Yep. Yep.
That is not a joke. That
Yep.
is not a
No,
joke.
I believe you. Yep.
I have said this as an attack against people before, where like my clients are better dog trainers than
They
you.
are. Yes. Yes.
Actually,
Yes.
I
Yep.
would expect, especially to the people that were clients turned helpers that kind of got sucked into the
Yep.
day-to-day gravitational sphere that
Yep.
helped me with
Yep.
some of these dogs. I
Yep.
tell them, I'm like, no joke, I would send an aggression case to you before I would any just like
Hands
board and
down.
train that you saw on Facebook and the guys out there talking shit about other train. I would never trust them,
Yep.
and I would trust you.
Yep.
So at this point, and the people feel it too. They may
Yes.
not entirely believe it, because I find that most clients, there's a level of I need to wait and go home to actually believe this to take place,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is kind of funny, because we'll have like a crazy lesson, they'll accomplish amazing things, and I will be truly like, I'm telling them, guys, I don't just
Yep.
like say things. You're doing this is
Yep.
this is
Yep.
fantastic. Like, I'm going to be going home feeling so good about this.
Mhm.
People will still be like, I love this. This is great. Blah 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 blah. But they'll be like, I really need to get him back home and go
One
walk
thing
our
I wanted
path.
to mention earlier that keeps coming up where like the emotional state and where you're putting clients is that you're giving them a sense of self-efficacy, like even allowing
Right.
them to ask questions, allowing them to sort of
Mhm.
steer things the way that they need it to be steered, even though they don't know
Right.
how to act for it. Like all of that stuff is building self-esteem. And the final thing is to go home and try it themselves,
Yeah.
to venture out, experiment, have a moment, and whether it goes well and they build self-esteem that way, or it goes badly and they go, "Hey, Dylan, I have a question," or "Hey, this came up. How do I work through it?" And being able to fall back on that support like that is such a key, like the foundation of that psychological structure that you're building is that they feel empowered to go home and do things with their dog, and they know that their support whichever way it goes.
And largely, this was discovered by me by accident,
Yep. Yep.
literally just by like me fucking around
Yep.
and spinning dials.
Yep.
And I sort of like, I went hard one
But
way, I'm
again,
going back
like
the other
this is
way.
good child psychology, right? Like this is how
Right.
you build a confident child. And like
Right.
that's just so funny to me about it is all these parallels where it's like, again, like I can see things that you're doing that are self-discovery,
Right.
but they have been discovered in other facets. And it's just
Right.
like, again, like the natural process,
Right. The
I think.
uniting learning across all the
Yes,
fields.
yes.
Yes.
And there is this, I don't know, like not to get too fucking cheesy again, but like there's this primal knowledge that if you just let it come out, right? And like take away all of the weird societal constraints that we've put on ourselves and weird expectations and like all of the bullshit, if you strip that away and you look at like a good parent who has no resources, but what are they doing correct? It's this stuff, you know? And like that is, I think, something instinctual that we just degrade because of our stupid human brains and the fact that they work against us sometimes in
Sure.
different ways. But
Sure.
there's just like fundamental truths, right? That like you can't you can't get away from. And I think this is one of them is like that idea of like giving people, whether it be a dog, a child, an adult that's struggling with something specific, giving them a secure base to come back to, but empowering them with the tools to go out and find out what they can do. So it's, again, that safe state of emergency where it's like there's
Mhm.
real consequences, but there is a parachute here and there's something to fall back on where like I know that I'm not going to die. Like nothing
Right.
catastrophic is going to happen anymore, and that allows them to experiment with coming outside of their comfort zone.
Yes. And the nature of the risk and the parachute depends on the dog, and
Yep.
the scenario that they're in.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it's all the same, and I really went hardcore. Like it's very typical for me to sort of like come onto something and then be like, I'm just gonna just fill a bucket with that and just eat that.
Yep. Yep.
And then I was like, okay, this dog didn't need 5 fucking lessons. That was ridiculous. Like they're bored. Like the people are bored now. Now
Yeah.
I've actually gone too far. And they're
Yeah.
like, Dylan, like this is cool and everything, but like we've done this.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
there are other
Yep.
times where I'm like, man, we really did need more time.
Mhm.
And I finally started to really dial in, like with this Rottweiler. 3 lessons
Mhm.
was like perfect.
Yep.
Long enough to, again, for them to reunite, to enjoy themselves, to start to introduce the basic concepts, to lay the foundation to our
Mhm.
operational relationship for the 3 lessons. To lay out a general roadmap where they are allowed to ask questions and sort of like choose their own adventure. Like, how is this going to go
Mhm.
based on what you feel is important? And then I obviously have my guardrails in place, or you're not ready for this, and all those types of things, right? Um, it's just, man, people go home wanting to do more
Yep.
and feeling like they can. And I I have found the results to be absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Mhm.
Ridiculous. In
Mhm.
times where I'm like, man, there really should have been. I'll tell people again with aggression cases too. And I mean, this is just a general speaking. You should always be clear that there's no guarantees on behavior. These are animals,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
like I'll tell people, man, I would not be surprised if like he goes home and he goes off somehow in
Yep.
some way.
Yep.
I can virtually say that it won't be nearly as bad as before, right? Again, no
Right.
guarantees, but I'm
Right.
extremely confident. However, I would expect some bullshit. And guys, like I'm telling you, most of the time it doesn't fucking happen.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I think a huge part of it is the go home process
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the way that the client feels driving home at
Mhm.
the end of this, their spirits, not just
Yes.
their capabilities, but their spirits and their outlook and their attitude. It's kind of like earlier talking about the dog and the lady that don't like each other. It's like if
Yep.
you are going into a new future
Yep.
feeling good and
Optimistic. Yep.
safe and like that is going to make shit happen.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's very hard to accomplish that with a
Mhm.
McDonald's drive-through order.
Yes.
What sauce was that? Barbecue? Get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
Next. Like you can't.
Yep.
It's just
Yep.
I don't I can't do that. And
Yeah.
it's you're not likely to create a real result.
No.
If you're
No.
if you're one of these people that loves forever clients, where
Mhm.
you're just draining people of their time and money, and now you're on the Christmas card and you get a 5-star review because you're friends.
Yep.
Well, I think you're a fucking loser, and
Yep.
you should just do crash course bullshit, and you're never
Yep.
gonna get anywhere.
Something
Um,
else, like, it's before I lose the topic too much,
mhm.
with the self-efficacy thing, not to get on a rant again, but, you were talking about how, Shikashio is good at least that, like, making people feel safe and comfortable part of it,
Yep.
but mm, mm, true self-efficacy and self-confidence comes from also being able to actually make that action, right? And, like,
Mhm.
that is the important part as well, is that the goal is not for a forever client that is
Mm.
reliant on you to come back and refill the bucket of making you feel good and creating that illusion that like, "Oh, it's okay, your dog can be
Right.
reactive its entire life," and it's not like,
Right.
as much as I like, this is what's so difficult to convey, that as much as I was talking about that grooming client before or, not grooming client, the dog who's struggling with grooming, and it's like, "Hey, this is not your fault that she's this type of dog. We can change this." That same phrase of "this is not your fault" can be used either as a
Yeah.
limiter
Yeah.
or as something to push you to do better, right? And that's where having that follow-up of, "Okay, I can say all these nice things and make you feel good, but then can I actually back it up by giving you the ability to follow through with that action?" And that's such a
Right.
huge missing piece. So I was just thinking about the fact that like
Well,
a lot of these phrases they sound the same, again, like surface level looks the same, but the piece, the very, very critical piece that's missing is the actual, I can send the dog home and be confident that
yeah.
it's going to go this way, even though
So
like all the
all
caveats of like it's an
roads,
animal, there could be regression. Yeah.
all roads. Okay. What field are we in? Dog training,
Yep.
right? At some point, a dog has to be trained.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So
Yep.
Michael Shikashio does not train dogs. So he cannot do more than the crying couch nonsense. That's all he can do because he's a fucking loser.
And
So
that's a bad therapist too. Like,
right. And
like
we
that's
could
the sad part.
we don't need to get into the state of the industry, but the fact that some fucking retard like him, a well-spoken, well-mannered, principled retard that just I can't imagine what his death count is. The fact that someone like him can be respected in the field is scary. It's a commentary on the state of affairs. Anyways, you have to be able to train the fucking dogs, guys. Obviously, like you have to. I don't. Your client relations can be amazing, but at that point, if you're not training the dog, you are just a friend that is being paid.
Correct.
And you are going to get reviews. You're going to get good reviews because people are going to feel bad.
Yes.
And they're also not going to, if you're too nice, people will feel uncomfortable to voice concerns.
Correct.
Because they don't want to hurt your fifis.
Correct.
People know with me, they'll be like, but Dylan, like, I don't, like, can I really do that? Like, they'll question me. And I want that. Like, I want you to know that I can take that, right? I am not actually your
real sincere human interaction. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I'm not your fucking friend, dude. Like, we are, but we are not.
Correct.
I do
we
not
have
want to be around forever.
That is, like, again, it is a professional relationship that you can be extremely comfortable and we can address all facets of the relationship between you and your dog. Like that.
Right.
That is the point.
It is, and I don't want to, like, it is a friendship, but it doesn't come with the expectations and the baggage.
No, there's not an expectation of reciprocity on my, like,
right. It doesn't come with the obligations, like the emotional obligations, I guess is what I should say, because my clients and I we are friends, like we become very tight, but there is no emotional obligation for me to try to like, or for you to try to protect me from reality. Or any of these types of things. No, like if there is a moment where I just need to say something or you just need to say something, the table needs to be clear so that we feel like, okay, we accept these terms, let it rip. So it is all in the pursuit of our goals. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I totally agree with what you're getting at, where it's like at some point, if you're being too empathetic and too sympathetic, you're kind of just like ineffectually wallowing around feeling sorry for each other. And that is a very force-free playbook. It's just like I'm gonna call it validating you, but actually you're all just being losers. And you're conditioning your clients to be losers. So and you're also setting up all of the excuses as to why you can't fix the dog. Genetics, trauma, environment, the medication, we need this. And these totally unfalsifiable things like, well, actually his brain is defected. And I know that we would need to kill him and get an autopsy to prove that, but we're not going to do that. Well, unless we do, but autopsies are expensive. So, it's just all a fucking scam. That, by the way, I just gave you the playbook for free of every force-free behaviorist on the planet. That is how they, without question, every single one of them operates from that fundamental reality. Okay. So that's the go home process. That's how I do it. Obviously, the variables are always sliding. The dials are always turning depending on the dog, the people, their capabilities, all of these types of things. My access to them, right? Like if I did have a client that was in town, maybe we would just do one lesson and then I would see them the next morning. Probably not, but we could afford to do that. But I'm telling you, as sort of like a close to this, and unless again, you've got more, it is drastically, extremely worth it. Even if you need to adjust your pricing, to treat the go home process with the respect that it needs. I swear to you, I don't even care what you're training. If you are sending a dog home to be with people for obedience, behavioral issues, I don't care what it is. You need to treat that with the same severity as you do training the dog.
Mhm.
And if you're here listening to this, you're a base Jigga and you take dog training incredibly seriously. So what I'm saying
Yep.
is start to route your brain
Yeah.
towards the client in that way
Yeah.
and think about the client's learning environment, learning experience,
Yep.
retention,
Yep.
recall, competency, confidence, emotional state, trust. Like
Mhm.
you need to think about them that way. And you will see changes. You won't hear from your clients anymore unless they have nice things to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. And I'm not saying that as a hard rule. Of course, there's regression.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, for me,
Yeah.
my dogs have problems. Like it's just the reality of dog training. But I'm telling you,
Mhm.
the difference will fucking shock you when
Mhm.
you start
Mhm.
playing around with that.
Yep. Yep.
That's my pitch.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I think like it's funny. You started this conversation by being like, "Kim, what's your shitty go home process?" And it is the standard go home process. And I think like I'm curious to see what sort
You
of
follow up
responses.
quickly, though. You follow up quickly.
Yeah,
And
but
that's
I don't.
we've been going for too long. We've been going for too long, but I do want to talk about maybe next time we talk about follow up
Yeah,
training because that
yeah,
is
yeah,
also a very crucial thing. I'm sorry, but keep
yeah,
going.
yeah.
You're interested in
Um,
seeing how people respond to your stuff?
yeah, because I think for me a big. Okay, so like I'm curious, like all of this makes too much sense to be like, no, I'm not gonna do it because it doesn't make sense, right? Like that's check that box. But what is the block and why aren't people doing this? Right. And so I'm curious, like, what are the barriers to entry to this in a sense? And I think for me, like what I immediately think about, which I'm getting much, much better about clearing my plate, but let's say so like obviously pricing and finances is definitely one of them and it all kind of goes together, right? But like being able to keep a schedule clear to give room for, okay, let's say Lincoln was like you ended up doing uh 3 lessons, but then something came up and you're like, okay, like we need to do a fourth one, a fifth one, whatever, and being able to have the open schedule to do that sort of on like a moment's notice in a sense. Um like that to me is what would be challenging is like the scheduling around those things. And I'm thinking about like people that have boarding dogs getting picked up and dropped off and then also one-on-one lessons and then also board and trains, right? And like I know that that's all related, but like that's what I'm curious about is what are the blocks to being able
You
to do
listen,
this? Yeah,
listen.
yeah, yeah.
You're starting to get you're going too far for me because now what you're trying to introduce is the concept of work-life balance, which I have a hostile reaction to. I do not think it is a valid it is a thing to even it does not exist in my consciousness. If
Yeah. So
I need to clear schedule, I work an extra fucking day.
yes. Okay.
Like that. We shouldn't do
What
this
I
now. We're gonna go off because we're gonna disagree. We're definitely gonna disagree at some level on this. And we've been going for
okay,
two and a
no,
quarter.
I think yeah, yeah. No, I know. Okay. So like I'm curious on people's comments about that. But what I was
Yes,
gonna say
yes,
about that is
yes,
not
for sure.
necessarily work-life balance, but like here's what I'm getting at is the state of the industry is unfortunately that dog trainers end up getting overworked
Hmm.
because we're in these boxes where we feel like we have to charge certain prices to do
Yeah,
certain things and only do a 2 week board and train and only do
yeah,
one go home lesson and just pump them out assembly line fat like the McDonald's burger,
yeah.
and people get stuck in that. And what I want to get at
It's a good point.
is like for me on doing those blocks it's not work life balance. I have no concept of work life balance either. Ask
Based.
my husband.
Good opinion. I
Um,
assumed. I made an assumption. I made
no,
an assumption.
it's
Based.
absolutely problematic in a lot of ways. I have no friends. It's fine.
Me too. Yep.
All of my friends are dog lunatics. Like the fact that you play Dungeon and Dragons is hilarious because it's just like nerdy, but then also hilarious because I'm like, I didn't expect you to have friends outside of dog people. Anyway, so I made an assumption. I'm sorry. Uh, but yes, what I'm getting at is that again, the call to action is step outside that box, adjust your prices as like
Yeah.
you do not need to match your business model to the big box sit dog trainer down the
Right.
street. in order to make a living and be successful as a dog
So
trainer.
can I really fast? Really
Yes.
fast? You are completely correct. In that the logistics of it, the scheduling, all of these things matter to a serious degree. And I have no doubt that if there is a friction to trying to adopt this mindset, all these considerations will matter to varying degrees to varying trainers,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. But I also do think that for whatever reason, we've talked about this before, dog trainers are almost uniquely susceptible to
Yes.
fearing change
Yes.
and fearing experimentation for whatever reason. I don't know. Like, it just,
Well, I think it's simply because it's an industry of almost 95% solo entrepreneurs that if their bottom line changes, it does have serious consequences. Whereas like other
But-
industries, you can experiment and have some padding.
but I think that people, it gets kind of like with the training methods. Like, people just, there are some people that cannot do something different. Like, they are like, it actually keeps them up at night. Like, there's something, there's something going on, even absent the money. Like, the idea that we would do a lesson and then I send the dog off and like, I'm going to see them later, but like, what's going to happen in those 5 hours? Like, I feel like people are going to be fucking weird about that. And like,
that's interesting. And that's where I'm curious to hear feedback. Like, what is the mental block? Because always for me, like when I hear a new idea, I'm like, okay, does it make sense to implement? And then if it does make sense, why am I not implementing it?
Right.
And then go through like, what's block A? How do I remove that? What's block B? How do I remove that? Right. So like, that's where I'm just curious, like what is it? Right. And is that a surmountable? And for some people it may not be, which is fine. Like if you're legitimately like, I cannot lose $10, otherwise I'm like hours deeply matter. But anyway, oftentimes it is like just a mental game, and then going, hey, I have to shift around, I don't know, this income stream or that income stream, or not spend this kind of money or whatever. But like it is a surmountable thing. But yeah, I kind of cut you off. But that's just where my brain was going in terms of like, okay, like what will be the, like if we're talking about like industry change and changing models and making this a more common strategy, like how do people actually go about doing that? Like that was kind of just
that was actually very revelatory. I believe that's a word, revelatory, to both of our personalities there, because your proposed barrier to this is a very logical, tangible, like financial reality. And then mine is the scorn of like, why are you all afraid?
Yes.
Stop being scared and just start like fucking moving.
But I do think that is legitimately that is true. Okay, so like, and this is not only revelatory of our personalities, but also the people that we interact with.
We deal with,
like,
yes.
So I'm around dog trainers that do take risks and do change things.
Right. Yes.
They like a lot of my very close friends and acquaintances will change things on a fucking dime. Like,
love it.
We've been, even with like club structure and stuff, it's like, this needs to happen. It's changed, and like, no bullshit. So I'm just like used to that. But if I go online, like,
it's scary. Yeah. Again,
that would change my initial response to why people are not doing something. It's not logical.
You're clocking into work at Google. You know, you ride an elevator up and then you take the big rainbow slide down to take your 45-minute break where you're hanging out playing pool with your buddies, and then you've got a meeting. And I'm out I'm like a beat cop cleaning up, like pulling needles out of people and you know, it's just like the worlds, like the sporting world, people care so much.
Yes.
Like they really care.
Going to do what needs to be done in order to improve.
Right.
Like that is
and the competitive aspect, the personalities that it attracts. There's this level of like readiness, but also this urgency of like, why aren't we doing stuff? And in the pet world, it is all deception and greed and complacency and superstition. People truly being horrified. You mean you let that dog do that? Like, that is like horrifying. And it's just, to you and me, that's just like, well, why wouldn't you? And that will like keep people up at night. So in relation to the go home process, I'm just telling you, and you don't have to go crazy and try to totally overhaul it immediately, but like
Yeah,
try budgeting in a 2
1
lesson system on
Yep.
one day
Yep.
and just play with it, right?
Yep.
And then during the process, you can even tell the client, be like, hey guys, listen, I'm kind of changing my format around a little bit.
Yep.
If I don't feel like we really did a great job, I'll do a free lesson with you tomorrow.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that is part of the deal
Yep.
of making changes, is that you have
Yep.
to mess it up.
Or in
And you can,
exchange, you say, hey, here's this feedback form that I'm going to ask that you give me, but I'm going to give you a free lesson or whatever, right? Like there's
yes,
so many ways. You
yes,
have both the curse and the benefit of being a solo entrepreneur is that you have so much fucking freedom to do whatever you want.
right, right. So
Yep.
if there is a cost to experimentation, you yourself can incur it, and
Yep.
you can make it right. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying?
Yep. And
So
no one's going to be upset about that. No one is going to look at you and be like,
no one,
oh my gosh, you have not perfected this yet. Like
right?
there is no shame in going, hey, I'm trying to improve my process.
Yes.
And I would appreciate your feedback on that. Like
People doing the practical exam for training without conflict, they often will say, I'll do a free limited run board and train.
Yep.
I can't. So there's no oh my God, you couldn't get this on. It's like, no, this was all a bonus. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, that financially that'll hit me, but like, this is the cost of getting better. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So at some stage, I would just say, like, we talk about this a lot when it comes to dog training, but like with the actual animals, but with dealing with the client, particularly in this format, the go home process, you should treat it like an experimentation and try to optimize it. Because I'm telling you that not only are the results fucking crazy on a personal, like selfish level, it's also really fun because you see accurate representations, because there's no rushing and there's a lot of rest and contemplation. You see accurate representations of how the dogs and the people interact with each other back home, because it's not in a training setup. And I talk about being anti-setup as much as I can. They have an Airbnb. This is like they're in a house, literally. We're really pushing this natural stage of interaction. You know what I mean? So just try it out. If you need to do some budgeting, change your pricing. If you need to tell the first few clients ahead of time, I'm experimenting around with my format, I will make it right and make sure that we get everything done. I just can't tell you, maybe we will have to tack on another lesson, whatever. There is something on the other side of this. And I'm still like, I don't have this shit figured out. I'm in that sandbox, and I'm like, oh my God, like this is fucking nuts. And there's plenty more to do. So this is not a solved equation.
You look at people that are in the industry for 30 plus years and they are still changing shit. And that is what keeps it fresh. Like, I cannot imagine how horribly bored I would be if I didn't continue to experiment with like, I look back even 2-3 years and I'm like, I have changed so much. And it's like, not being able to say that or not being able to experiment stuff is just, like, I might as well be dead. Like, I might as well be working a 9 to 5. Like, what? So I don't know. That's why it's just like, it's so wild to me, because it's like, of course it's not a solved equation. Like, of course you have to experiment with this. And like,
and sometimes experimentation is born from bad circumstances and you having to adapt. So Lincoln, that Rottweiler, he got hurt playing and we had to take 2 weeks off of training. Oh, and have fun, guys. Now the go home is in 2 days. And he hasn't trained in 2 weeks. So in my mind, I can go one of two directions. I can go, man, this is a nightmare. Holy shit, this is going to be a disaster and blah, 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 blah. And I can wallow and feel sorry for myself. Or I can say, this will be a very interesting look at maybe we could have gotten away with doing a lot less training with this dog. Maybe 8 weeks was overkill. It was. And I learned that because of those circumstances. You know what I mean? So you need to treat it the way, there's people like half full, half empty, blah, 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 whatever. But you should just be willing to like try
stuff.
And I'm telling you, the go home, there is gold to be found. All right. That's my final piece on it.
Yeah. We've been going a while. But yeah, I don't know. I think that
next time we do, well, I mean, shit'll happen. dog stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Maybe we do like follow-up training, or you know,
Yeah.
if you have
Yeah.
anything interesting
Well,
going on.
I actually would appreciate people commenting on this with questions, like,
Mhm.
and the more episodes we do, like, the more feedback from people. Like, I know you definitely have a super interactive audience. So yeah, let us know what you think, and poke some holes, and we can talk about it. So
NTA all the way. Let's go. Lock in. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching.
that's good. Bye.